Hey guys. This is part 3 of What If Naruto Was in Rosario Vampire. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start.
We are paid, that's all. We are God.
Mindscape. Okay kid, vacation time's over. It's time for some serious training, Kurama said, gaining Naruto's attention. What do you mean vacation? Have you not been paying attention to all the crap that's been happening since I came here? He asked, a bit annoyed. I know we wanted to leave the village and stuff, but that's no excuse to slack off. And the problems you've dealt with are nothing compared to the future ones. What do you mean? He asked, causing the giant fox to release a sigh. Don't tell me you forgot about the Akatsuki. Remember the Uchiho and that shark man? They were after me, and I doubt they'll give up just so you can go to school. Naruto was silent as he thought about his words. You're right, those guys aren't people to take lightly. Naruto agreed. Glad you're listening. So it's time to step up the training. Right, what are we working on today, Kurama-sensei? Naruto asked. Alright kid, you've been working on controlling your Kitsune by Foxfire. Now it's time to utilize it in battle, Kurama said as he looked at Naruto, who was listening carefully. Isn't it the same as using fire jutsu? Naruto asked, but the giant fox shook his head. Tell me, what's the difference between Yuki and chakra? Kurama asked. Yuki is more potent, and it takes more focus to control compared to chakra, he answered, earning a nod from Kurama. The same could be said when comparing fire jutsu and Kitsune Bai. You are able to generate foxfire, but it takes you some time that you won't have in the middle of a battle. So right now we have to work on the speed it takes you to generate the flames, and then we'll work on the size of the flames. After that I'll show you a few simple techniques, and then we'll work on incorporating it with your fighting style. Alright then, let's go, Naruto said as he began to transform. His pupils turned to slits while his blue eyes seemed to glow. His whisker marks became more distinct while his teeth sharpened into canines. His hair became wilder as his ears vanished in it before a pair of crimson fox ears popped out and a matching tail appeared. Once his transformation was complete, he held out his hands. He started to channel his Yuki into his hands until it began to heat up before blue and white flames surrounded his hands. Not bad, but you'll have to learn how to do it in an instant, Kurama commented. Naruto nodded his head before dismissing the flames and repeated the process. Kurama watched this with a grin. The kid's getting good. All this training and the spars with that vampire chick have really helped him improve. If he keeps it up, he might get his second tail. Naruto groaned as he walked to the cafeteria. He may have been training in his mind, but he still felt the fatigue in the outside world. As he was walking, he thought about his Kitsune Bai. He was hoping to test it out in a real fight, but the only option other than Kurama was Yura, and he didn't feel like hurting her too much. But then again, the female vampire was much tougher than she looked, and she looked pretty tough to begin with. Reaching the cafeteria, he grabbed a few bowls of ramen before looking for a table to sit at. Spotting 3 familiar faces also eating dinner, he walked over there with a smile. Hey guys, he greeted as he set his dinner down. Hello Naruto. We haven't seen you for a while. Where were you? Omode asked with a smile. Just practicing a new move, he answered as he began to eat. At the mention of a new move, Yura looked at him curiously. What kind of move? She asked interestedly. During her spars with the blonde, she learned he was very unpredictable, coming up with different moves on the spot. Now if I were to just tell you, that would ruin the surprise, he said with a wink, causing Yura to roll her eyes. So what were you guys talking about? He asked, finishing his second bowl of ramen. We were talking about tomorrow's newspaper, Sukun said. It's the hardest one we worked on yet, so hopefully people will like it, Omode added. I'm sure everyone will love it, Naruto said. Plus the fact that a bunch of beautiful girls will be handing them out doesn't hurt. You know, I've been thinking, we've been involved in a lot of fights. Shouldn't a teacher have come and said something? Naruto thought, wondering why no one said anything about all the fighting. Now that you mention it, it is a bit odd, Omode agreed. It is kind of weird. Maybe someone will show up to watch the students to make sure no more fights break out, Sukun said. The four of them continued with their meal while having a pleasant conversation when Yura noticed something. Is something wrong, Omote? You aren't eating? She asked, noticing that her sister had barely touched her meal. I'm not sure, I just don't seem to have an appetite, Omote admitted. Are you alright? You're not sick or anything, are you? Sukun asked, worried. Omote was silent as she gained a thoughtful expression before her eyes widened and she smiled brightly. Oh, I know. It must be that I haven't had any of your blood in a while, she said, smiling, causing Sukun to bang his head against the table while Naruto snickered. You should control your urges, Yura chastised, causing Omote to pout. Like you're one to talk. You're just as bad as me with Naruto's blood, she accused, causing Yura to blush lightly. I don't know what you're talking about, she denied. Please, when I asked about it you started to explain the taste with this dreamy expression, Omote said. At least I am able to control myself. You attacked Sukun every time you see him, Yura shot back, making it Omote's turn to blush. On the sidelines, Sukun and Naruto watched with a sweat drop as the sisters argued about their blood until it somehow turned into a comparison of taste. I think they forgot about us, Sukun said nervously. With the way they were talking, he had no doubt that Omote would soon look at him for a snack. To think our blood had such an effect on them. Guess it's the price to pay for being friends with vampires, Naruto said as they continued to watch the girls talk about their blood with a level of enthusiasm they didn't know they had. Next day. Please pick up a copy of the school newspaper, Omote said, standing next to Sukun as she and the others stood by their stand handing out papers. Read about the disappearing girls and other school events, Kurumu said as she and Yukari handed a paper to a random student with a smile. It's even got a crossword puzzle, Naruto added as more students began to crowd around them, although their attention was more on the girls rather than the papers themselves. Is that Omote-san? She's handing out papers? Kuruma-san is there too. I think I see Yura-san there too. All of these lovely girls handing out papers. Give me one. Me too. I must have one. The shouts continued as a herd of love-struck boys ran towards the newspaper club hoping to get a paper from one of the school beauties. Look! The paper is really popular, Omote said excitingly. I guess it is, Sukun said with a smile before he was glomped by a smiling Kurumu. This isn't this great, Sukun-kun? The blue-haired succubus asked, pressing his face into her bosom, successfully cutting off his air supply. Let go of him, Kuruma-chan, Omote said, staring at Kurumu with an annoyed expression as the succubus looked at her with an uninterested gaze. Why should I? It only makes sense that I would hug my future husband, she said as if it were obvious. Who said he was your future husband? She yelled as the two girls glared at each other, lighting shooting out of their eyes. It's hard to believe that they're friends sometimes, Sukun thought nervously as he watched the tension between the two girls. His thoughts were broken when a student was sent flying past him until he crashed through a tree. He turned and saw a scowling Yura while a group of students backed away from her nervously. If you want a newspaper then that's fine, but do not think for a second that I will tolerate your lewd comments, she growled out as they nodded vigorously with frightened expressions. Yura-san really isn't a person you should annoy, Sukun thought with a sweat drop. Stay away from me, a voice shouted. The human looked around and saw Yukari running away from a group of students. She's so cute. That costume, is it cosplay? Stay back, you stupid lilicons, the witch shouted as she avoided them. It's as lively as ever, but the paper seems really popular. But where did Naruto go? He was here a second ago, Sukun thought as he noticed the missing blonde. At a distance, Jin was leaning against a tree with a newspaper in hand and a pleased smile on his face. He stood there with a relaxed expression as he enjoyed the quiet. Yo Aromat, a voice called out. So much for peace and quiet, he thought as he looked to see Naruto walking to him. How many times have I told you not to call me that? The club president asked in an exasperated manner. Don't really know. What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be helping us hand out papers? Naruto asked, causing Jin to snort. Please, I'll leave the grunt work to you underclassmen, he said with a smirk. Sometimes I wonder why you're the president, Naruto mused as he shook his head. Well, I thought I would try to get you to help. The newspapers seem to be a huge success, and others look like they're having a good time, Naruto observed. That's good, Jin said with a smile. Naruto looked at him and noticed it was a real smile instead of one of his fake ones he used to try and impress the girls. He acts lazy, but the club is really important to him. We may have started off on the wrong foot, but he can be a pretty decent person, Naruto thought. Suddenly the sound of a commotion caught their attention. Walking towards the club was a group of students wearing a black uniform. On their way they pushed and shoved protesting students without even glancing at them, as if they were beneath them. Who are they? Naruto asked. Let's go. Grin growled out through clenched teeth as he narrowed his eyes. He looks like he doesn't like them, Naruto thought as he observed Jin's reaction as they made their way to the rest of the club. Once there, they were able to hear a few things. What are they doing here? A student asked in fear. I don't know, but I'm not staying to find out, another said as he walked away. I don't know who upset them, but they're in a lot of trouble now. But who would do something stupid like upsetting the Public Safety Commission? Hello, my name is Kuyu, the leader of the Public Safety Commission, a tall man with long blonde hair said with a pleasant smile, but the look in his eyes was anything but pleasant. Public Safety Commission? Where the hell were they when all those fights broke out? Naruto thought. So you're the ones who maintain peace around the school? Is something wrong? Omote asked, confused. Why were they here when they were just handing out newspapers? She didn't get an answer because Jin suddenly stood in front of her looking at Kuyu with a hard stare, one he ignored as he picked up a newspaper and read a few lines. So you are the new members of the newspaper club. I must admit that your work is well done, but who gave you permission to hand out information like this? We never even inspected it, Kuyu stated as he stared intently at the club, who were caught off guard at the question. Don't you realize the trouble you can cause? When a group of kids like you do whatever they please, it can disturb the peace and order of the academy, he shouted as he kicked the stand down, newspapers flying to the air before hitting the ground. Sukun and the girls watched shocked, although Yura looked more annoyed than anything, as Kuyu continued to kick the stand and papers away. Naruto watched as Jin glared at Kuyu as he clenched his jaw and tightened his fists until his knuckles turned white. Learn from your mistakes. We are the ones who protect the school. If you want to do anything on school grounds, then you need our permission. If not, then you leave us no choice but to take matters into our own hands, he continued. Stop it. We just wanted to hand out papers, Kurumu pleaded as she moved to stop him. Don't do anything stupid. You'll just make it worse, Jin said as he tried to stop her, but it fell on deaf ears. Just then a girl with long purple hair walked in front of them and smirked at Kurumu before spiting at her. Whatever it was latched itself on the succubus wrist, shocking her. What the hell is this thing? She asked as she tried to pull it out, but it was no use. It looks like the newspaper club is filled with lowlifes again. What a foolish little girl. It seems like this club hasn't changed a bit, just as pathetic as last year, the purple-haired girl said with a superior tone which only served to infuriate Kurumu. What does she mean last year? Sukun asked, but Jin remained silent. Do not think you are above us. Around here we are the law, so you will abide by our word, the girl said as she stomped on a newspaper before spitting on it. Remember this warning: if you disobey us again, you will face our wrath, and you will not like the outcome, Kuyu said as he made his way with the rest of his group following. Kito, I want you to on them. If they don't listen, you know what must be done, he ordered as the purple-haired girl who nodded. Understood, she said. Before they could continue, a loud shout stopped them. Hold up, you little fuckface, Naruto shouted as he glared at the back of Kuyu's head. His words caused the crowd to grow silent. No one has ever spoken to the commission in such a way before, at least no one who was able to walk away unharmed. Who do you think you are, speaking to me in such a manner? Kuyu asked with narrowed eyes. I could ask the same thing. Who the hell do you think you are, treating me and my friends like we're nothing? Naruto shot back. Inside his mind, Kurama was shaking his head. Always act first and think later. We're gonna have to fix that, he said to himself as he watched through his container's eyes. Watch your mouth, boy, Kito hissed as she glared at the blonde, but he paid no attention to her. His eyes were solely on Kuyu. Naruto! Get back here right now! Jin ordered. Naruto glanced back at the werewolf and noticed how tense he was. He could tell that Jin was mad at him for talking at Kuyu like this, but he could also see worry in his eyes. Fine, but since you gave us a warning, let me give you one. If you even lay a finger on my friends, I'll end you. He finished with a demonic growl as he unleashed his killer intent, freaking out the surrounding students, but Kuyu seemed unaffected. Naruto and Kuyu continued to stare at each other until Jin grabbed Naruto's shoulder and pulled him back. Sorry about this one, he doesn't know any better. I'll make sure he doesn't act like this again, Jin said. Very well. Kito, you know what to do, he said as the girl nodded. The PSC, Public Safety Commission, soon left before Kuyu turned to a boy with shaggy red hair. Masato, while Kito watches the club, I want you to keep a careful watch on the blonde. I believe his name is Naruto Uzumaki based on his actions. I have no doubt that he will provide us troubles. If he becomes a threat, then take him down, permanently if necessary, he ordered. Understood. The one known as Masato nodded. Watching them leave from Naruto's mindscape, Kurama was thinking about something. That Kuyu, there is some weird feeling about him, something familiar. Hopefully you didn't bite off more than you can chew this time, Kit. Once the crowd left, the newspaper club were the only ones remained. This thing won't come off, Kurumu exclaimed as she tried to rip the white substance off her wrist. Whatever that Kito spit on her was really tough. Are you alright, Kurumu-chan? Omote asked, concerned for her friend as she watched her finally able to remove some of the thread-like material. Yeah, whatever this thing is just really tough to get off, she said before pulling the remaining of it off with a disgusted grimace. Who are those guys? Yukari asked with a fearful expression. During his speech, I believe they called themselves the Public Safety Commission. Based on their actions, I would say they have no problem using force to achieve this peace and order they were talking about. Yura guessed with her arms crossed. You're right about that, Yura-san. They're basically the school police force, Jin said. Then where were they whenever we got in trouble? This is the first I've ever heard of them, Sukun asked as he remembered Naruto asking about something like this. Because they didn't feel it necessary, so they didn't do a thing, he said. Not necessary? But a lot of people could have gotten hurt, Omote said, remembering how the beauty-obsessed art teacher kidnapped the female students. Who knows how many more would be missing if it weren't for them. They've become corrupt, Jin explained. They're basically a Yakuza gang, making their force do the talking while they collect money and tributes. They said that if we're going to hand out the paper, we have to get their permission, right? That pretty much means we have to pay them off. What? How can they get away with something like that? Omote asked, shocked. And more importantly, why didn't you let me handle that bastard? Naruto asked as he looked at Jin, only to be on the receiving end of a harsh glare. Because you don't stand a chance, he said coldly. What do you mean I don't stand a chance? Naruto asked. I mean what I said. Those guys aren't like the other schoolyard bullies you faced. If you go up against them, you won't be living for long. The only thing left to do is to burn the papers and show them we're not standing up against them, Jin said tiredly as he ran a hand through his hair. Burn them? How can you say that after all the hard work we put into it? Kurumu shouted as she glared at their club president, but he didn't listen. I don't care. We won't benefit from picking a fight with them. The best thing to do is give up and… Not gonna happen, Naruto said, interrupting Jin. What? Giving up? Please, I don't even think I'm capable of doing something that ridiculous. The blonde scoffed. I'm not playing around, Naruto. Don't do anything to upset them. I'm not playing around either. I refuse to let those corrupt bastards push us around. This is not the time to play hero, Jin growled out. I'm not playing hero. I'm playing normal person who won't let others push him around, he shot back. The others watched as the two engaged in a staring contest, tension high in the air. The silence was broken by Jin. Fine, but as club president it is my job to do what's best for the club. Since you refuse to listen, you leave me no choice. Naruto Uzumaki, as of today you are no longer a member of the newspaper club, Jin said in a monotone voice, shocking the others. Naruto was silent as he stared at Jin. Fine, and I thought you were a werewolf, but I guess I was wrong. You're nothing but a scared puppy, he said, causing Jin to flinch slightly. The two turned away from each other and headed off in opposite directions. What's with him? One moment he was happy about the club and the members, and then the next he lets some power-mad freak walk all over him. Naruto, I'm sorry, but I know you. You won't give up on this, and I can't watch this club suffer at the hands of those guys again. Off in the sides, hidden by the trees, two figures stood. Well, looks like Jin remembers what happened last time he stepped out of line, Kito said with a smirk, while Masato sighed in annoyance. It figures I'd have to watch the one who thinks he's unbeatable. His is going to be a pain, the redhead complained. Well, from what I hear, he's a capable fighter, so at least he'll provide you with some fun before you finish him, Kito said, the possibility of Naruto beating them not even entering her mind for a second. Guess you're right. Now come on, we have a job to do, he said as they left the area. Later on that day. I can't believe that jerk. First he tells us to just give up, and then he kicked Naruto out of the club, Kurumu ranted with an angry look plastered on her face. I don't get it. Why would Jin-senpai do that to him? I know those people seem scary, but Naruto and I is really strong, Yukari said with a frown. I don't know Yukari-chan, but Jin-senpai seemed really serious about this, more than usual, Sukun said. Who cares? He still didn't have to kick Naruto out. And now he expects us to burn those papers? After all that hard work? I don't think so. Jin's probably just afraid of those jerks, Kurumu said with a tick mark on her head as she remembered Kito's insults to her. Calm down, Kurumu-chan. Let's just sit down and think. Omote started but was interrupted by the succubus. Think? What's there to think about? If the pervert doesn't want to do anything, then we'll just hand out the newspapers by ourselves, Kurumu said defiantly before her face broke into a smile. With great speed she clung to Tsukun's arm. But if you're going to listen to the pervert, then fine. Let's go, Tsukun-kun, we don't need Omote's help, she said, causing Tsukun to blush as he felt her breasts pressed against his arm, while Omote grew a tick mark at seeing them. Now let's go, she said as she pumped her fist into the air, dragging the human by the back of his shirt. Sorry, Omote-san, I'll make sure she doesn't do anything reckless, Tsukun said as he stared back at the pink-haired vampire who sighed. I hope Yura-chan is having better luck with Naruto, she muttered to herself. With Naruto? Damn Aromat. I get it, those guys are tough, but that doesn't mean we have to lie down and take what they throw at us, Naruto grumbled to himself as he paced back and forth at the forest clearing where he usually sparred with Yura. Something must have happened. I might not have known him for long, but he doesn't seem the type to just sit around and do nothing, Naruto said to himself, trying to stay calm. You know, talking to yourself is a sign of insanity, a familiar voice called out. Turning around, Naruto was greeted with the sight of Yura leaning against a tree looking at him with a smirk. Maybe, but I don't remember ever telling anyone I was sane, he said with a shrug. Very true, and if that were the case it would also explain so much, Yura replied smoothly, causing the blonde to chuckle. I just don't understand why you always have to insult me, he said with a pout. It is not my fault you make it so easy, she answered with a careless shrug. So tell me, Yura-chan, to what do I owe the pleasure of your company? He asked curiously. You seemed a little tense after the argument with Jin, and being the kind, loving, caring girl that I am, she chose to ignore the sudden snort from Naruto. I thought I would come here and have a little spar with you. That way you can relive some stress before doing something stupid like you usually do. And there it is. You haven't called me an idiot all day. I was actually getting a little worried, Naruto teased, causing Yura to roll her eyes. I did not think it was necessary to state the obvious. So what do you say? She asked as she got into a fighting stance. What did I do to get a friend like you? He asked with a shake of his head as he got into his own stance. The two stared at each other before charging as they engaged in their spar. With Kurumu and Tsukun. Are you sure we should be doing this? A nervous Tsukun asked as he and Kurumu walked through the school grounds, each with a box of newspapers in hand. Of course I am, Kurumu said as she led the human. Maybe we should go back to the others or talk to Jin-senpai about this. Tsukun continued when Kurumu suddenly stopped. I don't want to burn these papers. We all worked so hard on it, but we had a fun time doing it as well. This is the first time I did something as a group of friends instead of using my charm on someone to have them do the work. And to have those jerks insult us, I can't take it. It's like what Naruto said, I can't just stand by and let them walk all over us. Kurumu said with conviction, shocking the boy. I had no idea you felt so strongly about this, Kurumu-chan. He muttered. How touching, a voice said. They turned just in time to see something fly through the air before latching onto the box in Kurumu's arms. What? She explained, surprised as the box was pulled away from her arms. They looked up to see Kito standing on some type of thread as she held the box in her hands. It looks like you are more foolish than I originally thought. It looks like plan on disobeying us. I have no choice but to crush you now, she said with a cruel smirk. Give back those papers, Kurumu ordered. I don't know why you think you can order me around. You are nothing to me, Kito said as she dropped the box to the ground and reached into her pockets. I don't know why you guys seem to hate us, but we didn't do anything, Tsukun said as Kito pulled out a packet of matches. You may think you've done nothing, but here you are going against our warnings. You're just like last year's club, the purple-haired girl sneered. Last year's club? Tsukun repeated in confusion. So you don't know? I guess I can give you a brief history lesson. Last year's newspaper club decided to go against us and criticized our work. That caused us many problems, and as you can guess, we didn't take too kindly to that, so we decided to exterminate the problem at the source, she explained. Is that why Jin-senpai wanted us to stay away from them? Tsukun thought. You care about the school's safety, and yet you go around and attack innocent students. Aren't you the only threat to the school? Tsukun asked with narrowed eyes, shocking the two girls. You dare speak to me like that? Kito asked, her eyes narrowed in anger. She pulled out a match and lit it, and right in front of it she dropped it into the box. The two of them watched as their hard work burned before their eyes. Don't ever talk to me like that, she shouted before she spit out a white thread-like substance from her mouth that wrapped itself around Tsukun's arm. Once you get caught in my thread, you're finished, she said as she swung the thread, and Tsukun as a result was sent crashing into a tree. She quickly made another string of thread and wrapped it around Kurumu's arm and repeated the process. You should have listened to us, but you really gave me no choice, Kito taunted as she began to transform until she turned into a spider-like creature. Tsukun, no! Kurumu shouted as tears began to form in her eyes. She got up in hopes of helping him, but a wave of webbing shot towards her until it pinned her into the tree behind her. Struggle all you want, but my web cannot be broken, Kito said before turning her gaze at the frightened Tsukun. Time to say goodbye, she said, but was suddenly blown back by a strong forever to her face. The others looked and were surprised to see Yura standing there with her Rosario missing. Yura-san, Tsukun said, not expecting the silver-haired vampire to be here. Said girl spared him a glance before returning her attention back to the Spider-Woman. Relax, Tsukun, I will take care of this fool, she said. Tsukun, Kurumu-chan, are you two alright? A frantic Omote asked as she ran to the group. Omote-san too? Tsukun asked as the pink-haired girl ran to him and began working on the web that was wrapped around him. Another intruder? It doesn't matter, it will end the same way, Kito shouted as she shot a web towards Omote, who was too preoccupied with Tsukun. Before it could reach it though, Yura stuck her arm out and the web wrapped around it. Omote, you free these two and leave the little spider to me, Yura said. Are you sure, Yura-chan? Omote asked, concerned. Relax, she is no match for me, Yura answered, and to prove her point she released a surge of yuki that made the people around them feel like they were drowning in it. This power, unbelievable. How can she have so much? It doesn't matter, she's still caught in my web. She's finished. Kito thought as she tried to pull her web but it wouldn't budge. She tried again but to her surprise she couldn't pull Yura towards her. How about we play tug-of-war? Yura asked with a smirk as she grabbed the web attached to her wrist. Making sure she had a good grip she turned to Kito and gave her a feigned smirk. Don't do anything foolish. If you raise your hand at me you'll only get yourselves into more trouble, Kito said frantically but Yura paid no attention. With a firm tug Kito was sent flying towards her as she pulled her leg back. You act all high and mighty but when someone shows they are capable of fighting back you are so easily frightened. Pathetic, know your place, she said as kicked Kito in the head hard enough to send her flying. She looked at the fallen form of Kito before turning to Omote and the now freed Tsukun and Kurumu. Are you okay, Tsukun? Omote asked. I'm fine, just a little banged up, Tsukun said with a smile hoping to ease her worries. Thank you, Yura-san. If you hadn't shown up I'd probably be in a lot more trouble. Speaking of which, your Rosario is off. I thought only Naruto could remove it. Where is he? Kurumu asked as she looked around but there was no sign of the blonde. He is currently entertaining a guest, Yura answered drawing looks from her. Seeing the looks of confusion the vampire sighed before explaining what happened. Flashback, during Kito's attack. I feel much better, Naruto said with a sigh as he stretched his sore muscles. He stood next to Yura, both their uniforms slightly ruffled from their spar. Like I said, you're lucky to have such a kind, caring friend like myself, Yura said with a smirk earning an eye roll from the blonde. I think you're the lucky one to have a friend like me. After all, which one of us supplies the other their blood? He asked, causing the girl to scoff. Please, I've lived 15 years without your blood. Don't make it sound like I'm dependent on it, she said, crossing her arms. Does that mean I can cut you off? He asked innocently. No, came the immediate response from Yura, who suddenly blushed when she realized how frantic she just sounded. When she heard Naruto's snicker she glared at him, but it had no effect on him. Well, isn't this a pleasant sight? A voice said from the distance. They looked around to see a redhead who was wearing the PSC uniform leaning against a tree watching them casually. What do you want? Yura asked irritably, not even bothering to hide her annoyance. Now that's just rude. I only wanted to say hello. My name is Masato. I believe you are Naruto Uzumaki, correct? He asked as he walked towards them. And if it is? Naruto asked warily. Then I will have to dispose of you, Masato said simply as if he were discussing the weather. Really? What did I do to deserve such a punishment? Naruto asked curiously but kept a lookout for any sudden movement. The boss wanted me to keep an eye on you in case you decided to try something funny. But we both know you will do it anyway, so I figure why wait? Why not just end the target before it becomes a threat? Masato explained with a shrug. I see, that actually sounds like a reasonable plan, Naruto said before casually raising his arm and pulling Yura's Rosario off. Once her features transformed and her Yuki was unrestrained, she looked at him curiously. Chances are one of his buddies is walking around. So you go make sure the others are okay while I take care of this guy, he explained, getting into a fighting stance. I do not recall making you leader, Yura huffed. Now's not the time for your stubbornness, Yura-chan. Just make sure Omote-chan and the others are safe. Hurry or you might miss the fight, Naruto said as the vampire nodded, although reluctantly. Very well, apparently these PSC members are in their own league, so I guess I should make sure Omote is alright, Yura said as she turned around and prepared to leave but paused and looked over her shoulder. Make sure you come out of this alive, Naruto, she said quietly, and if you listen close enough you could hear a bit of worry in her voice. Relax, I'll be fine, I promise, Naruto reassured with a small smile, but it soon turned into a fox-like grin. Besides, do you think I'd really let this guy separate me from my darling Yura-chan? He asked, causing Yura to roll her eyes, but there was a small smile on her face. I thought I warned you about calling me that. You're lucky I don't want to injure you before you get into a fight, she said before running off to make sure the others were safe. End of flashback. And when I came here I saw the spider about to finish Tsukun, Yura explained, but before anyone else could respond the sound of tired chuckling filled the air. They turned to see a barely conscious Kito looking at them, and despite her current state, she had a look of superiority. You willingly left your friend with Masato? Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but your friend is most likely finished, she said. What are you talking about? Naruto is insanely strong. No way would he lose to you people, Kurumu said. I don't even think we've seen Naruto's full strength yet. I'm sure he's fine, Omote said with a smile, but she was still a bit worried about for her friend's sake. You don't get it. Masato is Kuyu's right-hand man. Even I can't compete against him, Kito said, causing them to deflate slightly. Even so, I am confident that Naruto will be able to handle this Masato, Yura stated. Foolish, Kito muttered before passing out. Now, Naruto still has my Rosario, so I better go find him, Yura said before taking off. The others were silent before Kurumu giggled. If she's worried about him, she should just say so instead of making excuses, the succubus said, causing the others to smile. Do you think we should follow Yura-san? Soken asked. I think so. Naruto's really strong, but I'm still a little worried, Omote admitted. Yahoo, let's go see Naruto kick the PSC member's ass, Kurumu cheered, causing the others to sweat drop. With Naruto. You're pretty good, Naruto grunted as he dodged a punch aimed for his face. I wish I could say the same about you, Masato said as he blocked an incoming kick before sweeping his leg, causing Naruto to fall to the ground. Naruto quickly rolled out of the way to avoid a stomp before jumping back on his feet. Oh, don't worry, I haven't even started yet, Naruto said as he channeled his Yuki into his legs. With a sudden speed boost, he charged at Masato and was now under his guard. Clenching his fist, he simultaneously connected with a left elbow to the stomach and a right uppercut. Damn it, Masato growled as he recovered his footing. He looked forward only to be kicked in the face, leaving him open. And it's time for the finisher. Rasengan, he said as he slammed a spiraling blue ball into the redhead's midsection, sending him flying into a tree. I have to say, I'm a little disappointed. I'd figured you'd be stronger than the others I've faced, Naruto said with a frown. He was about to walk away, but he heard a pained groan. Looking back, he saw Masato standing back up, clutching where the Rasengan hit. Oh wow! You're the first person here to stand up after getting hit by that, Naruto praised, surprised that he could still stand after getting hit by the Rasengan. Alright, I admit you're tougher than you look. I honestly thought I could handle you like this, Masato said as his body hunched over and it appeared to be bulking up. His body was soon covered with bluish-green scales, his face morphed into that of a serpent with yellow slitted eyes, his legs seemed to have fused together until it resembled the body of a snake, and his upper body was about twice his original size. But playtime is over, he said, revealing a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. What the hell are you? Naruto asked, surprised at the creature in front of him. I'm the one who will finish you, he said as he charged at the blonde. Getting back to his senses, Naruto jumped out of the way, dodging Masato's punch. The punch hit the ground, creating a large cloud of dust. When the dust cleared, a crater created from Masato's punch was revealed. Damn, I definitely don't want to get hit by that, Naruto said as he observed the damage a simple punch could cause. What's the matter, Uzumaki? Are you scared? Masato taunted. Dream on! Naruto shouted as he reached into his blazer and grabbed a handful of shuriken before throwing them at Masato. The reptilian creature just watched amusedly as the bladed weapons bounced off his body as if they were harmless pebbles. Ha ha ha! Did you honestly believe those dull blades could pierce my scales? He asked mockingly before lunged at Naruto. Seeing this, Naruto cursed under his breath as he went through a series of hand seals. Fire release. Flame bullet, he said as he took a deep breath before releasing a large fire ball, creating a large explosion once it hit the charging Masato. Naruto watched carefully, seeing if his attack was successful, but was rather surprised seeing his opponent pass through the explosion, the fire doing nothing more than creating a few burn marks. Nice try! He shouted as he swiped his claws at Naruto, creating a few gash marks across the blonde's chest. Damn it! If that wasn't enough, then let's try this, Naruto muttered as he created a shadow clone. Both clones jumped back, performing their own hand seal. Fire release, flame bullet. Wind release, great breakthrough. He watched as the winds grew and intensified the flames, Masato getting trapped in the current vortex of flames before getting caught in a fiery explosion. Did we get him? One of the Narutos asked while the other shrugged. Suddenly a scaled-covered tail shot out of the smoke, ramming into one of the Narutos only for him to burst in a cloud of smoke. So you can walk on water, create that blue orb, breathe fire, control wind, and now you create copies of yourself? It looks like the surprises never end with you. An unharmed Masato said. How were you able to come out of that unharmed? Naruto asked, shocked. He was positive combining wind and fire would be enough to at least harm him. Those scales must be way stronger than those lizard men who attacked Yukari-chan. Fool, don't compare me to those inferior geckos. I am a basilisk, my race is a legend amongst the reptilian yokai. As for my scales, please, like your pathetic flames could get through them. Masato informed, causing Naruto to frown. If what he said is true, then things just got a lot more challenging. He thought before bringing his hands up to his signature hand seal. Shadow clone technique, he said as a cloud of smoke appeared, revealing 10 Narutos. So you're tougher than we gave you credit for, one of them said as they each took out a kunai. But that doesn't mean we'll just give up, another said as the clones charged forwards, channeling wind chakra through the kunai. Seeing this, Masato smirked before taking a deep breath. Then he released a dark red mist-like substance that shot towards them. Surprised by the sudden attack, they scattered trying to dodge attack, but only 3 were able to avoid it as the others dispelled the moment the red mist reached them. The remaining 3 Narutos attacked with their kunai, and much to their delight and Masato's surprise, they were able to cut through the scales. Hissing in slight pain, Masato attacked one of the clones with his tail, dispelling it immediately. Then his claws began to emit the same red mist-like substance before he slashing the remaining 2. One of the dispelled while the other tried to step back, but he was nicked across the shoulder, causing Masato to smirk. Damn it! Naruto hissed as he backed away from another slash before getting slammed by his opponent's tail, causing him to go skidding across the ground. Looks like it's game over, Masato said smugly. What are you talking about? So you got a lucky hit, but I'm far from done, Naruto said, getting back on his feet. Fool, all it takes from me is 1 hit, and then I just have to wait, the basilisk said, confusing the blonde. What the hell are you talking about? Naruto asked. Hearing this, Masato shook his head in annoyance before pointing behind Naruto. Reluctantly, Naruto looked where instructed and his eyes widened. Behind him, where his clones were dispelled, the grass and trees were decaying and it spread from the residue of the red mist. Now do you understand? I am able to create and release a highly potent venom. That 1 nick from my claws was enough to inject some of it in you. Even the smallest amount is highly lethal, he explained, and no sooner than that did Naruto feel his vision blur, and his body felt a bit unsteady. Looks like it's already taking in effect, he observed. But I have to give you credit. Not only did you make me reveal my true form, but you were able to damage me through my scales, Masato praised with a bit of respect. Kurama, can you flush the poison out? Naruto asked. I've been trying since he mentioned it, but I can't do anything about it, Kurama explained gravely. What do you mean you can't do anything about it? Poison has never been able to affect me much. You've always been able to handle it, Naruto said as he felt himself getting weaker. He was wondering how strong this poison was since it affected him so soon. That's been regular poison, but this one is different. It's laced with his yuki, which is resisting against mine. Best I can do is slow the poison down. I have to say it's pretty impressive. It's barely entered your body and yet it already spread this much, Kurama said. Well, that's just fantastic. I'm so glad you're enjoying this, Naruto thought sarcastically. TCH, don't get an attitude with me, brat. I wasn't the one who let himself get hit with poison. I didn't let him do anything. He caught me off guard, Naruto shot back. Why don't you try and beat this gut before having a hissy fit? Kurama said as Naruto closed the mental link. What the hell am I going to do? My fire jutsu won't work, even combing it with wind didn't do much. He was able to take a Rasengan in his human form, and I have no doubt he could handle it in this form. I could raid using my Kitsune, but I won't be able to concentrate hard enough in my current state. Not only is his defense strong, but then there's his poison, Naruto thought as he tried to figure something out. What's wrong, Uzumaki? Finally out of tricks? Masato taunted when he noticed Naruto's troubled expression. Regular Rasengan didn't work, so let's try this, Naruto muttered as he created a shadow clone. Fire release, flame bullet. Wind release, great breakthrough. And just like before, the wind and flames combined together before hitting an unfazed Masato. Didn't you already try this? He asked, annoyed as the smoke and fire cleared. He looked around and his eyes widened when he saw two Narutos in front of him holding a large ball of blue energy. A diversion? Odama Rasengan, Naruto shouted as he slammed the larger-than-normal Rasengan into Masato's chest. The commission member also noted that the clones slammed their free hands against his shoulders but paid no mind to it. His attention was focused on the pain he felt when the orb of energy slammed into him. Screaming in pain, Masato was sent flying as Naruto fell to the ground, breathing heavier than usual. Damn it. This poison is really messing with me, he said as his vision got blurrier. Not bad, but still not good enough, Masato grunted as he barely stood up. Damn it. That was much stronger than his first attack. Even with my scale armor, it was able to damage me this much. But it looks like he's out of hit, Masato observed before he heard a hissing sound. He looked around and he was shocked to find a burning piece of paper on each of his shoulders. Before he could even think, he was engulfed in an explosion of blue fire. Not only was it stronger than his usual fire, but in his current state he had no chance defending against it. My greatest weakness with the Kitsune is the time it takes for me to create the flames. By sealing some of the flames and adjusting the seals, I was able to create a Kitsune paper bomb, Naruto thought as he observed the work of his attack. Impressive. Even I didn't think of using Kitsune in such a way, Kurama praised but frowned when he was answered with silence. Don't die on me yet, Kit. I'm trying to slow down the poison as much as I can. Try and get to the infirmary or one of your little friends, Kurama advised, but to not avail. Shit, I promised Yura-chan that I would be alright. When she sees me like this, she's going to kick my ass, he muttered as he began to black out. Naruto! He heard someone shout frantically, but he was so out of it that he couldn't recognize the voice as he passed out. Chapter 10: The Alpha of Yokai Academy, Naruto vs. Kuyu. TCH. Kito and Masato were defeated? Kuyu asked in annoyance. Yes, according to the reports, the one known as Yura Akashiya took down Kito effortlessly. As for Masato, he was defeated by Naruto Uzumaki, but he did not leave the fight unharmed. He is currently in the infirmary getting treated from Masato's poison, one of the PSC members informed. It seems like the newspaper club will continue to be a thorn in my side. I guess they want a repeat performance of last year, Kuyu mused before he smirked sadistically. Then so be it. If they want to defy me, then I will deal with them, even if I must crush them with my own hands, he finished. Perhaps some assistance would be beneficial, a voice from behind said. Kuyu looked over his shoulder and raised an eyebrow when he saw who it was. You! What are you doing here? He asked. I've come to offer a little info, the figure said from the shadows. And what info you possibly give me? Kuyu asked almost sarcastically. You may be the police of the school, but even you can't dispose of a student for no real purpose. But let's just say one of the newspaper club members is human. It is clearly stated in the school rules that all humans are to be killed on sight, the figure said with a dark grin. A human, you say? Well, then it is my duty, as leader of the Public Safety Commission, to eliminate this human, Kuyu stated with a smirk. Newspaper club room. What the hell is wrong with you guys? An annoyed Jin shouted as he glared at the group in front of him. Omote, Yukari, Kurumu and Sukun sat there quietly as they listened to their club president. This is just great. Not only did you start something with the Public Safety Commission, you openly fought and beat up some members? He continued in frustration. I thought I warned you idiots. They are not a group to take lightly. They are very dangerous, and I refuse to let Omote-san and Yura-san get hurt because of your reckless mistakes. he said as he pulled Omote to his side, who had a confused look on her face while the other's sweat dropped. Yura was the one who beat up the commission member. Kurumu deadpanned. Speaking of Yura-san, where is she? Yukari asked, wondering where the silver-haired vampire was. Yura-chan is in the infirmary with Naruto, Omote said, gaining the attention of the others. She won't admit it, but she's really worried about him. Naruto's in the infirmary? What happened? Jin asked curiously. Why do you care? He's not even a member of the club anymore, remember? Kurumu asked sourly, causing Jin to flinch a little. He didn't like kicking Naruto out of the club, but he did what he thought was best. But still, I never thought I'd see the day Naruto was down like that, Sukun said, but on the inside he was thinking hard. The first day of school, Naruto said he was human, but how could a human fight the way Naruto did on almost a daily basis? I know what you mean. He was always able to beat his opponents rather easily. I guess the commission guy he was fighting was really strong. Omote agreed, but she was really thinking along the same line as Sukun. But sometimes she thought she felt a bit of Yuki coming from the blonde, but just dismissed it, thinking it was her imagination. But then how could she explain the things he did which should be impossible for a human? Yukai Academy Infirmary. Naruto Uzumaki was currently lying on one of the beds in the infirmary, sleeping peacefully. Sitting on a chair by the bedside was Yura, who had a confused frown on her face. The reason she was confused was the blonde boy who was currently sleeping. When she saw the state he was in, she was worried. She couldn't remember ever being worried for someone other than her sister or mother. What's wrong with me? When I saw him, I was frightened, even if it was only a little bit, she thought in confusion. Why was she frightened, and more importantly, why was she frightened for someone other than herself? Although Omote said it is normal to feel this way about a friend, and he is my first friend outside of family, she mused to herself before she heard the ruffling of sheets and some groaning. She smiled in relief when she saw Naruto waking up, but wiped it off before he could see. Ugh! What the hell happened? He asked as he looked around the room until his eyes landed on Yura and he smiled. I must be dead. It's the only way to explain this angel who has graced me with her presence, he said in what he thought was a smooth tone. To Yura it was plain ridiculous. I should have known that the first thing that would fall from your mouth would be something idiotic, she deadpanned. And I should have known the first thing you'd do is insult me. Naruto sulked as the vampire rolled her eyes. So are you going to tell me how you let yourself get beaten to such a state? Yura asked with a raised eyebrow, causing Naruto to grow a tick mark. Why the hell does everyone think I let that bastard do anything? First Kurama and now Yura-chan. Not my fault. How was I supposed to know he was some kind of super lizard thing? You mean a basilisk? She asked. Yeah, that. I've never even heard of those things before. How was I supposed to know they had insanely strong scales and super poison? Your lack of knowledge is not a good enough excuse, Yura scolded as she crossed her arms. Why the hell do you have to say it like that? It makes me sound like a complete idiot, Naruto complained. And you're not? She asked with a smirk as Naruto's shoulders slumped. You're so mean to me sometimes. Anyway, since I'm still alive, I guess they took care of the poison? He asked, earning a nod from Yura. Alright then, so tell me what's happened so far? Naruto asked. Well, after you and I separated, I went to check on Omote and the others. As it turned out, you were correct. Another member of the safety commission was attacking Tsukun and Kurumu. It was that purple-haired girl, Kito I believe her name was. Anyway, Omote appeared shortly after me. Kito transformed into her real form, which was a Joragumo. What's a Joragumo? Naruto interrupted. Yura glared at him a little for interrupting before answering. Basically a spider woman. She stood no chance against me, and when she realized that, she tried to beg her way out of a beating. Of course, that didn't stop me from teaching her a little lesson about messing with me. Anyway, she said that Masato character you were facing was second in command. She finished. Damn, that means they'll be making their move soon. No way will they take the defeat of their second in command lying down, Naruto said with a sigh. So where are the others? He asked curiously. Most likely the club room, she answered. And you're here because? he asked with a raised brow. Someone had to make sure you were still alive, she said with a shrug before a grin found its way on Naruto's face. Was my darling Yura-chan worried about me? He asked, causing Yura to blush slightly before glaring at the blonde. I thought I warned you about calling me that, she growled as a dark aura covered her, causing Naruto to look at her nervously. Sorry? He said, hoping she wouldn't hurt him. Newspaper room. I don't get it. What is so special about you two? Yura is worried about Naruto, and the rest of the girls here are all over you, Jin said in annoyance as he pointed an accusing finger at Sukun. What? The human said in confusion before he found himself caught in a headlock by Jin. No good bastards. I should bring you to the police now so you can pay for your crimes, he said as he began to drag a protesting Sukun to the door. Hey! What are you doing? Stop it! Sukun said as he tried to free himself from Jin's grasp. Jin-senpai, what are you doing? Omote shouted as she watched the strange scene in front of her. Jealousy can make a man do crazy things, Omote-chan, Yukari said sagely. The moment they took their first step out of the door, they heard the sound of footsteps. Looking up ahead, they saw Kuyu and a group of PSC members walking towards them. This can't be good, Jin muttered as he watched them approach. Sukun swallowed nervously as he agreed with him. It looks like you are having some fun, Kuyu said as he observed the group in front of him. Unfortunately, we have some serious business to discuss. And what would that be? Jin asked carefully. You have raised your hands against us. Are you prepared to face the consequences of your actions? Kuyu asked with a smirk as he looked down at them. I think you're overreacting a bit. There was only a small disagreement between them, right? No need to do something drastic, Jin tried to reason. Hearing this, Kuyu snorted. A disagreement? 2 of your members have assaulted my own for no reason. For this, Naruto Uzumaki and Yura Akashiya will come with us to receive a proper punishment. What? But your members were the one who started it, Sukun said in protest. Keep quiet, Sukun, Jin said, grabbing a hold of Sukun's shoulder before he did something stupid. Kuyu looked at Sukun with a calculating eye that began to unnerve the brown-haired boy. It is possible that it could have been self-defense, and I do not have any unbiased witnesses, Kuyu mused to himself, bringing the hopes of the others up. It looked like their friends weren't in trouble. But their hopes crashed down with Kuyu's next sentence. As for you, Sukun Ono, you have committed a far worse crime, he stated. What? What did I do? Sukun asked, shocked and scared. What could he have done to earn the wrath of the PSC? Sukun didn't do anything, Omote said, worried about her friend. Leave him alone. There's no reason to get him involved, Kurumu added. Kuyu spared them a glance before looking back at a nervous Sukun. The most important rule of Yokai Academy: no humans are allowed. We have received accusations stating you are human. Sukun Ono, you are to come with us, Kuyu stated as he stared at Sukun with a cold look. Sukun, though, paid no attention to the look. He was frozen in place. They found out his secret. How did they figure it out? Omote thought in fright, while the others just looked at them shocked. Could it be possible? Was Sukun really a human? What are you talking about? There's no way he's a human. No human can get here, Kurumu shouted in denial, but Sukun didn't hear it as he began to shake lightly. Kuyu ignored her as he placed a hand on Sukun's shoulder and smirked at him. You do know I have to bring you in for questioning, right? He asked mockingly. And I'm sure you're aware of what will happen if our suspicions are correct, right? Get away! I won't let you do anything to Sukun because of some stupid accusation, Kurumu shouted as she moved between the two. She looked defiantly in his eyes but flinched when she felt a wave of yuki. Move, he ordered coldly. What is this? It's unlike anything I've ever felt, she thought in fear as she unconsciously listened. Omote Akashiya, you are also coming with us. We have reason to believe you were aware of his status as a human, he said as a few members of the PSC went to get Omote. Looks like we've got quite the crowd here, a voice said. They looked to see Naruto and Yura walking towards them. Yura was glaring at the members who were near Omote, while Naruto was walking towards them with his hands in his pocket and a bored expression on his face. "What are you doing here?" Kuyu asked, glaring at the blonde. He would like nothing more than to take down this blonde-haired nuisance, but as of right now he couldn't do anything without raising some form of suspicion. "I just came to visit some friends. Although I'm curious, I was the one who beat your little club member. Why are those two in trouble?" Naruto asked as he nodded towards Sukun and Omote. "The reason it's them instead of you is rather simple. We have no concrete evidence of who caused the altercation. For all we know, you could have been performing self-defense. As for these two, one is accused of being human while the other is accused for harboring said human," Kuyu explained, causing Naruto and Yura to frown thoughtfully. "So they figured it out, huh? That's not good," Naruto said as he walked in front of Kuyu. "So the only reason I'm safe is because I didn't start the fight with Masato?" Naruto asked. "Yes, if you laid hands on him or any other member in a threatening manner first, then you would be joining them," he answered begrudgingly. Hearing this, Naruto hummed thoughtfully before grinning and nodding his head. "Good to know," he said before he unexpectedly kicked Kuyu between the legs. Kuyu's eyes widened as he bit back a scream before receiving a right hook to the face from Naruto. Everyone looked at Naruto disbelievingly with wide eyes and open jaws. Not only did Naruto assault a member of the PSC, but he assaulted the leader. They looked from the fallen form of Kuyu to Naruto, who was smiling brightly as if he didn't have a care in the world. "Of course the kid would do something like this," Kurama said, laughing at the scene in front of him before gaining a serious look. "But still, that wave of Yuki earlier. It was so familiar. What is it?" he thought to himself before his eyes widened a bit. "Of course. Looks like things just got a lot more challenging for you, Kit," he thought as he continued to watch what transpired. Gasping in pain, Kuyu got back to his feet, glaring hatefully at Naruto, his face red with rage. "I gave you a chance, something I don't normally do, and this is what you do? You will come with us for assaulting a member of the Public Safety Commission, and you will suffer serious consequences," Kuyu hissed. "All right then, what are we waiting for?" he asked before turning to Yura with a smile. "I'm going to go with these guys for a while. I'll see you later, Yura-chan." Yura just looked at him incredulously as she blinked in confusion. Seeing this, Naruto chuckled before giving her a wink. Yura looked at him for a bit before giving a subtle nod. With that, everyone watched silently as the PSC escorted a nervous Omote and Sukun with a cheerful Naruto following behind them, with Kuyu glaring hatefully at the back of the blonde's head. Once they were gone, the shocked newspaper club walked back into their room thinking about what just happened. To think he was a human this whole time. "I can't believe I associated myself with him," Jin said, breaking the silence. "What are you talking about? Don't tell me you actually believe that nonsense," Kurumu shouted in denial as she got into Jin's face. Normally Jin would have said or done something perverted since she was so close, but this was a serious matter. "What if it is true? If there's even a chance of it being true, of course I'll be suspicious. Yokai and humans have always been wary around each other," Jin shot back before stepping back from Kurumu. "If he really is a human, then we're all in trouble. He will no doubt be executed, but we might get the same punishment for harboring him," he continued as he slammed his fist against the wall. "It doesn't matter. We have to save Sukun-kun and Omote-chan," Kurumu said. "What nonsense are you speaking? This is Kuyu we're talking about. If we go there, we're pretty much asking for our deaths," Jin responded in a cold tone. "What are you talking about? We have Yura-san on our side and Naruto and I," Yukari said. "I'll admit those two are strong, but right now Naruto is under Kuyu's watch and Yura-san's power is sealed. If I remember correctly, Naruto is the only one who can remove it, and for all we know he could be dead," Jin replied. "I doubt he would let himself get captured just to die," Yura said as she spoke for the first time. The others looked at her confused, wondering what she meant by that. Seeing this, Yura sighed before she began to explain. Why would Naruto openly strike Kuyu when he was just told that the only reason he was not arrested was because they had no real proof against him? To get caught, he saw Omote and Sukun about to get arrested and decided to get arrested so he can watch them from the inside, she told them. The others nodded as what she said made some sense. But why didn't he just follow them without them knowing? Yukari asked. They would probably be expecting him to hide from the shadows. This way they think they have him under their watch when in reality they are under his. Yura answered. Although, I may be giving him too much credit. There's also the chance that he attacked Kuyu without thinking. She thought to herself before looking at Jin. Anyway, those fools have a moat. If you think I will stand by and do nothing while they have her, you are more foolish than I originally thought, Yura said before leaving the room. Hold up, Yura! We're coming with you! Kurumu shouted as she and Yukari followed the vampire. Wait, come back here! Jin shouted, but he was ignored. Once the door closed and he was alone, he slammed his fist against the desk in frustration. Damn it! It's just like last year, he growled out. If they keep this up, then they'll get wiped out like before. He finished in a more defeated tone. So that's your problem with them? A voice from behind said, causing Jin to whip his head so fast his neck almost snapped. His eyes widened when he saw Naruto leaning against the wall looking at him. What are you doing here? How did you escape, Kuyu? The werewolf asked, shocked. I didn't escape, but I have no time to really explain, he said, confusing Jin. What did he mean he didn't escape? He was standing right here in front of him. So you're just going to let them go? Naruto asked as a more serious look took over Jin's face. I tried to stop them, but they wouldn't listen. It's their funeral, he answered. And you're going to sit here and do nothing? What can we do? I already watched this club fall from them. I refuse to watch it again, Jin said, looking away from the blonde. I see, pathetic, Naruto said as he glared at the wolf. You claim to care about the club and its members, but you won't even lift a finger to help them when someone stronger comes around? What's the point? Jin asked. The way I see it, you have two choices. You can stay here and watch as the club suffers again, or you can fight alongside your friends. You said you don't want a repeat of last year. Well, newsflash, Jin, it's going to keep happening until someone stands up to Kuyu and his goons. Think hard, Jin, and do what you feel is right, Naruto said before he disappeared in a puff of smoke, leaving Jin to his thoughts. What should I do? With Naruto, Tsukun, Omote, and PSC. Looks like my clone talked to Aromat. Hopefully he'll be willing to help us. It would very helpful, Naruto thought as he regained the memories from his clones. Everyone in the club knows I'm human now. What am I going to do? How did they figure it out anyway? Tsukun thought frantically as he and the others were escorted through the PSC building. A dungeon? Why would something like this be here? Omote asked nervously as she looked at the prison in front of her. Let me out of here. I didn't do anything, one of the people in the prison shouted. I only disagreed with you safety commission guys. How is that a good enough reason to get stuck here? Bastard, let me out of here. Another shouted as he reached through the bars and aimed to strike Kuyu, who gave them a bored glance. Vermin, you honestly believe you can harm me? He asked coldly as his hands were engulfed in blue flames before he launched a fireball at his attacker. Without so much as another glance, he continued on his way, ignoring the pained screams of his victim as he rolled on the ground, burning up. They watched this horrified, but there was something else that shocked Naruto. Those flames, they felt like Kitsune by. No fucking way. He's a Kitsune? Naruto thought. He replayed Kuyu's actions and mentally cursed. Kuyu was able to generate his flames faster than he could, and he also seemed to have better control. Now then, let's begin, Kuyu said as he snapped his fingers, and before Naruto could react, one of the PSC members by him stuck a syringe into his arm. What the hell? Naruto shouted as he fell to ground, a feeling of fatigue washed over him. Naruto! Omote shouted as she and Tsukun moved to help him, but Kuyu grabbed Tsukun's shoulder, stopping him from movement. I do not know why you let yourself get arrested, but I will not let my guard down, Kuyu stated. So he noticed? Damn Kurama, can you flush out whatever he injected in me? Yeah, but it will take some time, the giant fox informed. Just do it as quickly as possible. Now Tsukunono, there's a simple way to get out of this, Kuyu said as he brought his attention back to the human. All you have to do is transform into your true form. If you are indeed a yokai, then this should be a rather simple fact. What are you waiting for? Prove to me that you aren't human. Kuyu ordered as Tsuken stood there nervously, knowing he was already in his true form. Human. Oh no, this can't be happening. Omode thought, scared for her friend's sake. Fed up with waiting, Kuyu shoved Tsuken into the wall hard. Why are you wasting my time? Just transform already, he said before he grinned darkly. Or is it true? Are you really a human? Unable to watch this, Omode ran between the two of them. Don't hurt Tsuken, she pleaded, but she was answered by a sneer. Out of my way, he said as he shoved her away before he began to repeatedly kick and stomp on Tsuken. What are you waiting for? Do it already! Transform, he said between blows. Damn it, Kurama, hurry the hell up. Tsuken's getting the shit beat out of him, and all I can do is watch. Naruto yelled mentally. Shut up, Kit! This ain't like the shit back in the elemental countries that target humans. This shit targets yokai, so it's more resistant to my yuki. Kurama shot back. Is this how I'm going to die? Tsuken thought to himself, his body wrapped in pain. Quit it, Kuyu! Touch him again and I'll kill you! Naruto shouted as her tried to get up. Seeing this, Kuyu smirked as he looked down on the blonde. It looks like the tranquilizer we gave you worked rather nicely. I normally wouldn't take such a precaution, but you did take down Masato, he said as we walked towards him before picking him up by the scruff of his shirt. You won't be able to move for some time, so why don't you just sit there and enjoy the show? We're lucky this one liked to talk so much. Go for it, Kit, the last of that tranquilizer shit is gone, Kurama informed, causing Naruto to grin. Why sit when I can join in? Naruto shouted, punching Kuyu straight in the jaw. Free from his grasp, he followed with a knee to the gut and a straight punch to the face that sent Kuyu flying through the wall. Naruto easily disposed of the two other members who were around before turning to Omode. Omo-chan, watch over Tsuken while I take care of this guy, Naruto said as he jumped through hole he made. Come on, Kuyu, let's get wild, Naruto said as his pupils turned into slits. Uzumaki, you have been a thorn in my side for too long. Today I will end you. An enraged Kuyu growled as his hands became engulfed in flames. Shadow clone technique, Naruto said, creating 4 clones of himself. An interesting move, but it will not save you, Kuyu said as he launched a fireball at them. The clones scattered as they dodged the flames before launching a handful of shuriken. Shadow shuriken technique, they said in unison as the shuriken multiplied. Seeing this, Kuyu merely scoffed. How foolish, he said as he waved his arm, creating a barrier of flames. Heat melted the shuriken before they could reach him. Wind release, air bullet, he heard as his flames dispersed, and before he could react it, he felt himself get slammed by pressurized air. Grunting in pain, he stepped to the side to avoid a kick from Naruto as he sent a wave of fire. The moments the flames touched him, Naruto burst into smoke. Too bad that wasn't the real one, he heard before he was simultaneously hit by a lariat and a knee to the stomach. You're good but not good enough, Kuyu grunted as he surrounded himself with fire that caused the 2 Narutos to hit him to dispel. Let's see if this is good enough. Odama Rasengan, the reaming 2 Narutos said as they charged at him, a large blue sphere in between them. An interesting move. Would you mind if I borrow it? Kuyu asked as he created a body-sized fire ball in his hand. Using his yuki, he began to mold and compress the fire until it was about the same size as Naruto's Odama Rasengan. Glaring at each other, the two slammed their attacks into the others, resulting in a large explosion. With Omode and Tsuken. Don't worry, Tsuken. We'll get you out of here, and everything will be okay, Omode said, looking at her fallen friend. How cute. You honestly think you can make it out here alive? A voice from the shadows said. Omode looked up and her eyes widened when she saw who it was. Ishigami-sensei. What are you doing here? She asked as her former art teacher walked by. It was your fault. If you and the rest of the newspaper club minded your own business, you would have joined my art collection and I would still be able to expand it, she said. You're blaming us because you got caught doing something wrong? Omode asked. Kuyu will destroy your little blonde friend, so I guess I'll take care of you too, she said, ignoring her question as her hair transformed into snakes. The snakes launched towards them, but before they could reach them they fell to the ground, split in half. What? Ishigami said in surprise. Looks like you two could use some help, Kurumu said as he stood between them in her succubus form. Kurumu-chan, Omote said in glee as she saw her friend her to help. Her happiness grew when she saw Yura and Yukari also walking into the room. Yukari was smiling when she saw Tem while Yura kept her usual stern expression, but her eyes softened when she saw Omote. What are you doing here? Ishigami hissed. Isn't it obvious? We're here to help our friends, Kurumu told her. It won't do them much good. You'll all meet the same fate in the end, Ishigami said as she glared at them. Are you sure you want to start something? You're terribly outnumbered here, Jin said as he casually walked into the room. What are you doing here? Kurumu asked, surprised. The last time they saw him he was dead set on not getting involved. Jin chose not to answer the question, but they could hear him muttering something about no good righteous blondes. This isn't good. They have too many on their side, Ishigami thought. I'll have to find a way to escape. At that moment one of the walls was destroyed by a powerful explosion from the other room. They turned towards it to see what happened and watched as Naruto soared through the air until he crashed onto the ground. Damn bastard copying my move. Doesn't even have a fucking Sharingan, Naruto muttered as he felt Kurama's Yuki beginning to heal his burn injuries. Are you alright, Naruto? He heard someone say. He opened his eyes to see Yura looking at him. Although she hid it well, he could still see a bit of worry in her eyes. Hey Yura-chan, what are you doing here? I thought I was supposed to visit you after I dealt with these guys, he asked. Did you honestly think I would stand by and let you do all the fighting? Please, like I would let you have all the fun, she said with a smirk. Hey man, you look like shit, Jin said as he walked over to them. Maybe, but I'm still better looking than you, Naruto shot back, causing a tick mark to form on Jin's head, but before he could retort Naruto spoke again. So you decided to fight? Yeah, I decided to fight alongside my friends instead of doing nothing, he answered. Good answer. If you chose anything else I would have kicked your ass, Aromat, Naruto said as another tick mark grew on Jin's head. So the whole gang's here? They heard another voice said. They turned to see an injured Kuyu walking through the remains of the wall. Damn, Naruto was able to fight Kuyu to this extent? Jin thought, surprised. What are you doing here, Jin? Don't you remember what happened last time? Yes, and that's why I'm going to fight back, Jin said as he began to transform. I refuse to let you harm my friends again. And with great speed he unleashed a barrage of blows under a second. The others watched shocked. While they knew he was fast, they didn't know he could fight like this. After his assault, Kuyu hit the ground before returning to his human form. That was for last year's club, Jin stated. He was about to walk back to the room when a large wave of Yuki filled the room and the temperature began to rise. Jin jumped away when Kuyu's body exploded in flames. What's happening? Kurumu asked as they watched the flames dance around until it began to take a form of what appeared to be an animal. Seeing this, Ishigami took this as a chance to escape from the others. Like I said, they will meet the same fate in the end. Kuyu isn't like their normal enemies, she thought as she went to find a safe place to hide so she could watch the impending battle. What is this? Sukun asked as the flames began to form the shape of a four-tailed fox. A Yuko! His true form is a Yuko? Damn it, those are considered to be gods. How can we stop something like this? Jin said as he recognized the creature in front of them. I will deal with you fools later, Kuyu growled before his gaze landed on a completely healed Naruto. But first I will deal with you, Uzumaki. He has 4 tails? God damn it, this just got a whole lot tougher. Naruto swore in his mind before grabbing Yura's Rosario. With a quick tug he pulled it off as her vampire features took over and her Yuki was unsealed. Looks like I'll have to go all out, he thought to himself. No more hiding, huh? You know your friends will have some questions, especially the silver-haired one, Kurama pointed out. Yeah, but it's better than listening to this guy run his mouth, Naruto said, causing Kurama to chuckle. Got that right. Okay then, kid, go ahead and show him which fox is the alpha around here. You want to get serious? Alright then, let's go. Naruto said as he released a wave of his Yuki. The others watched in slight anticipation as his features began to change. This would be the first time they would see Naruto's true form. His pupils turned into slits as his whisker marks became darker and thicker. His teeth became sharper until they more canine-like as his hands resembled claws. His hair grew a bit longer and wilder as they covered his ears before a pair of crimson fox ears took their place and a matching crimson fox tail appeared behind him. Naruto is a Yuko too? Jin, Yukari, and Kurumu thought in surprise. What's going on? I thought he was human. Omote and Tsukun thought in shock and confusion. I knew he was hiding something. He has a lot of explaining to do when this is over. Yura thought with a frown. Ha! I'll admit I'm a bit surprised that you're a Yuko like me. But you should understand that you have no hope against me. You only have one tail while I have four. Kuyu declared, but the blonde seemed unfazed. Well, are you guys going to stand there or are you going to fight with me? Naruto asked. The others blinked before Yura smirked and walked up until she stood by Naruto's side. Like I said before, I refuse to let you have all the fun, she said, getting into a fighting stance. Man, this is such a pain, but I can't let my members fight alone, Jin said as he transformed into his werewolf form. TCH. So you're going to stick together till the end? How noble. Kuyu scoffed as he brought the tips of his tails together. He's concentrating a lot of Yuki into the tips of his tails. He's up to something, Jin thought in trepidation. Better get ready, kid. He's about to do something big, Kurama warned. I'm on it, Naruto answered as he concentrated his Yuki into his hands as they began to heat up until they were engulfed in blue flames. Hazy rolling flame, Kuyu said as he fired a spinning disc of fire. Great blaze impact, Naruto said as he slammed his hands together, firing a large fireball. The two fire attacks collided, creating an intense explosion of heat. He only has one tail and yet he was able to match my attack? Kuyu thought. So focused on that he didn't notice Yura sneak up to his left until he felt a powerful roundhouse kick crashing into his skull. After hitting the ground he tried to get up until to be in the receiving end of a barrage of blows by Jin. Hey Jin, throw him this way, Naruto called out. Doing what he was told, Jin grabbed Kuyu by his leg and threw him towards Naruto. Seeing this, Naruto created a shadow clone, which shocked the others. The clone grabbed the real one and began spinning in a circle. After building up enough momentum, he threw the original towards Kuyu. High-speed Rasengan, he said as the two crashed into each other, the blue orb slamming into Kuyu's gut. Kuyu screamed as he crashed through the wall. They did it! Kurumu cheered with a smile as Yukari cheered. Isn't this great, Tsukun? We're safe now, Omote said, just as happy the others. Yeah, Tsukun agreed with a small smile. Despite the trouble he brought his friends, they still stuck by him. Looks like it's over, Jin said, transforming back to his human form with a relieved smile, but Yura and Naruto were far from relieved. I have heard tales of Yukos before. I did not expect one to go down this easily, Yura thought with a frown. You do know he's not down yet, don't you? Kurama asked. Yeah, but I can't just go charging after him, that could be what he wants. Still, he should be pretty injured, Naruto answered before he felt a large spike of Yuki causing his eyes to widen. Hazy rolling flame, Kuyu's voice said as a large disc of fire shot through the destroyed wall and head straight towards Yura, who was the closest. Her eyes widened as she mentally cursed. She didn't have enough time to dodge and she knew this would hurt a lot. Not good, Naruto thought as he watched the attack head straight towards Yura. Without even thinking, he quickly went through a series of hand seals. Yura-chan! Omote shouted in fear as she watched the flames engulf her sister. Tears began to swell up in her eyes until she heard a familiar voice. How did I get here? A confused voice asked. They turned to see Yura perfectly fine as looked around herself in confusion. The others blinked at the sight before turning towards the dancing flames of Kuyu's attack, wondering what happened. Fuck, that really hurt, they heard a pained voice say as the fire and smoke cleared to reveal a badly injured Naruto. Okay, four-tailed Yuko are pretty strong, he thought to himself, trying to get up but found it too difficult. Kuyu must have used a lot of Yuki. This attack was much stronger than his first. Naruto, Yura said in shock. One moment she was about to get hit by Kuyu's attack, but next she finds herself out of harm's way while Naruto is lying on the ground. But then her eyes widened a bit when she realized what happened. Could he have used one of his shinobi tricks to switch places with me? She thought to herself. It was the only answer she could think of that made sense, and it was defiantly something Naruto would do for his friends. Now this was unexpected. I was aiming for the vampire, but I hit you instead. No matter, you were the biggest obstacle here anyway. Now that you're down, it just makes this easier. They heard Kuyu said, followed by the sound of footsteps. They looked towards the torn-down wall, waiting for Kuyu to walk through. When they did, they were surprised at what they saw. Kuyu's form had drastically changed. Instead of four-tailed Yuko standing there, they saw a more humanoid version of one with unique tribal markings on his upper body. You should feel honored. I rarely use this form to take down my opponents. In fact, I've only used this form once to reduce my opponent to nothing but ashes, he said smugly. His strength, it increased so much compared to his last form. Jin thought through gritted teeth. Now then, who's next? Kuyu asked darkly. What are we going to do? Not only did this guy get stronger, but Naruto's down, Kurumu said nervously. I don't know, Omote said as she felt some tears falling down her cheeks. Naruto was one of her first friends and such a strong person. She had never seen him in such a state. Kuyu watched the group and reveled in the fear he could feel from him. The only ones who could give him a challenge would be Yura and Jin, and even then they couldn't do much. They may have been S-class yokai, but he was a Yuko, a god amongst the yokai. He took another glance at the blonde and frowned when he saw some movement. He should be dead from the amount of strength he put into that last attack. It looks like the bastard was more stubborn than he gave him credit for. I could leave you like you are, but you have given me such grief in the short amount of time that I knew you, he said, walking towards his prone form, creating a ball of fire the palm of his hands. I gave you fair warning, but you chose to stick your nose where it doesn't belong, he said, glaring at him. He was about to launch his attack, but was stopped by a spinning kick courtesy of an angry Yura. Stumbling a bit, he recovered in time to receive a right fist in his gut, followed by 2 kicks to his chest and face. I will not let you take another step closer to him, Yura said coldly as he glared at Kuyu. What's the matter? Is the vampire upset that I hurt her little friend? Kuyu mocked. As a matter of fact, she is. Yura shot back as she charged at the Yuko. She aimed another one of her kicks at him, but he blocked it with his one arm as he launched a fireball from his free hand. Yura ducked down to dodge the flames as she did a sweep kick that knocked Kuyu off his feet. He turned his body and used his hands to brace his fall and used his tails to whip Yura away. Growling, Yura began to pick up large pieces of rubble and threw it at Kuyu with all her strength. Seeing this, the Yuko just scoffed before waving his hand in front of him, creating a wall of fire that destroyed them before they made contact. Did you really think such a petty trick could affect me? Kuyu asked, feeling a bit insulted. Sidelines. Yura-san seems really mad, Sukun observed as he watched the battle between the Yuko and vampire. Despite Yura's impressive skills, it seemed that Kuyu was able to match her strength. Yeah. Her love for Naruto fueled her strength, Yukari added. Despite the serious situation, she was still set on getting those two together. Jin-senpai, why aren't you helping? Kurumu asked as Jin walked over to them, keeping a careful eye on their fight. As much as I would like to, I'd probably be more of a burden to Yura-san. I'm not at full strength without the full moon, so I'd most likely get in the way, he admitted. It was clear that he wanted to fight but didn't want to put Yura at risk. He was a capable fighter, but he knew fighting someone like Kuyu with anything less than his best would be suicide. I really wish we could do something, but the only one who could stand a chance against Kuyu besides Yura-chan is Naruto, Omote said sadly, glancing at the blonde before she blinked in confusion. Everyone was so focused on the fight that they probably didn't notice it. She would have missed it herself if she didn't look. What's going on? She asked. The others looked at her confused before following her line of direction, and they were just as confused. A strange red aura began to bubble around Naruto as his wounds began to heal. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto groaned as he opened his eyes. Looking around, he found himself in a familiar sewer. Looking up, he saw Kurama looking at him with an exasperated expression. Why does this keep happening? No matter what you do, you always find a way to get your ass handed to you. Shut it, furball. If I didn't do that substitution, then Yura-chan would have fried. Naruto shouted in annoyance. It wasn't like he enjoyed getting hurt. Whatever, but I have to admit that Kuyu is pretty decent. His last attack did some real damage. Took a bit longer than I thought to heal you. Course he'd be nothing but a stain in the ground if he faced me. Kurama boasted, causing Naruto's eye to twitch. Yeah, I get it, he's good. I didn't think I'd need to use your chakra at this school, but I didn't expect to face another fox. Naruto said. How much you need? Kurama asked, already expecting this. I think a tail's worth of chakra would be enough. Naruto guessed, getting a nod from the giant fox. Alright then, but you'd better hurry. Your girlfriend's putting up a good fight, but all she's got is physical strength. Eventually his Kitsune bai is gonna give him the edge and she'll be toast, literally. Kurama suggested. Naruto nodded in agreement, but he still scowled at the fox. I thought I told you. Yura-chan isn't my girlfriend. He shouted, causing the fox to chuckle. Funny, I don't remember ever mentioning her. He said, causing the blonde to blush. Before Kurama could say anything else, Naruto quickly left his mindscape to prepare for another round. Real world. Yura was mad. She cursed to herself, thinking that this was one of the worst days of her life. First, Kuyu, the bastard, decided to arrest Sukun and Omote. Seeing her sister, she was about to do something, but then Naruto does something to get arrested, so he could keep a close eye on them. Then she has to wait a little bit while wondering what was going on with them. When she finally lost her patience and left to get them, she finds Naruto and Kuyu engaged in a fight. Soon Kuyu reveals his true form, which is a Yuko, a yokai that was said to be equal and in some cases superior to vampires, her own race. Thanks to some teamwork between her, Naruto, and Jin, they were able to get the upper hand, but then things went south, again. Although she knew it seemed too easy, she foolishly let her guard down, and even if it was only a second, it still cost them. Kuyu launched another one of his special fire attacks right at her, and she had no time to avoid it. Expecting extreme pain, she was surprised when she found herself safe from harm's way, while her friend Naruto was the one who took the attack intended for her. She could recall Kuyu and the others talking, but her sole focus at the time was her blonde friend. Her first true friend. The first person, outside of her family, who truly cared for her. Her whole life there was only 3 people who she truly cared for: her mother, her twin sister Omote, and her younger sister, although she could be annoying at times. That all changed when she and her sister ran into a blonde stranger that just happened to be attending the same school as them. At first she found him annoying and was content with ignoring his very existence. But as time went by, she found herself intrigued, for lack of a better word, by the blonde. Despite her attitude and strength, Naruto always treated her like he would any other person, and while at times it was annoying, it was also a bit refreshing. He never treated her like she was superior to him, or him superior to her. He treated her like an equal, someone he could rely on, like a friend, and in time she treated him the same way, to the point where she could freely admit he was a very good friend. Perhaps she would even go as far as to admit he was her best friend. She was sure the only person worthy of that honor, other than Omote, was Naruto. And there he was, lying on the ground, twitching every now and then. He took the attack meant for her without a moment's hesitation. She wasn't sure how, but she knew he was the one responsible for their switching places. After realizing what happened, something in her snapped. She felt such anger that was all directed towards Kuyu. He was the one who tried to hurt her sister, and the one who hurt her friend. Without thinking, she charged at the Yuko, planning on introducing her foot to his face. The only problem was that Kuyu was a very strong opponent, and his control over fire was not something to take lightly. "Why don't you stay down?" she screamed as she hit him with a heel kick that pushed him back. Grunting in pain, he glared at the vampire. He didn't want to admit it, but she was proving to be as difficult as that damned Uzumaki. "If you miss your friend so much, then just join him in hell," he shot back as he launched a ball of fire at her. She was able to dodge the brunt of the attack but still received some damage from the after explosion. "If you think those pathetic little embers will stop me, you are mistaken," she said, glaring at him. Although she mentally disagreed with what she said. Those attacks were anything but little embers, but she had had to keep a strong front. "TCH, trying to act tough till the very end, I see. You're only prolonging the inevitable," Kuyu said with an arrogant tone. Not liking his tone, Yura was about to make a comeback but stopped when she felt something. The room was suddenly filled with a feeling of dread as a malicious aura flooded the room. Scanning the room, her eyes widened when they landed on Naruto. His body was surrounded by a red aura that seemed to boil around him. The next thing she noticed was that his wounds were healing at an exceptional rate. She felt a wave of relief when she saw him getting up, but instead of standing straight, he was hunched over. However, there was one thing that confused her. As far as she knew, Yuko could only control fire, and sometimes lightning as well. She had no idea what this red aura was. To her it felt like raw Yuki, but it felt nothing like the Yuki she felt him use earlier. In fact, it seemed that the Yuki covering him was responsible for this feeling of dread that filled his room. The aura soon began to transform from boiling bubbles to that of a fox from the top of his head to the end of his tail. He dropped on all fours like an animal and opened his eyes, revealing crimson eyes with black slits. His eyes roamed the room until they landed on Kuyu's form, and he frowned. "As much as I hate Kuyu, I have to admit this new form is pretty badass. Hey Kurama, why does he get a cool form like that when the only thing I get is a foxtail and ears?" he asked, feeling a bit jealous. Why was it that the bad guys always got the cool stuff? Hearing this caused Kurama to scoff. "What do you expect? He's a full-blooded Yuko. You were a normal hairless ape turned Hanyu. You should feel honored that you got the ears and tail," Kurama said, as if he should already know this. "Whatever." Naruto sulked as he studied his surroundings. He raised an eyebrow when he saw Kuyu and Yura. Both showed signs of injuries and bruising. "Looks like you guys have been busy," he said with a grin, as if he didn't get blasted from a wave of fire earlier. The others were shocked at seeing him perfectly fine, but Yura soon grew a small smile and shook her head. "I don't know why I didn't expect this. He always finds some way to surprise you," she thought, amused. "How are you still standing? That last attack should have finished you," Kuyu seethed. "What did he have to do to finish the blonde off?" "I think you're just overestimating yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're a pretty tough guy and all, but," Naruto said in a cheery voice before it grew more demonic, "it will take more than that to keep me down. You can talk all you want, but there's no way a one-tailed fox like you can defeat me," Kuyu boasted as the tips of his tails met together, creating a spiral of fire. "Hazy rolling flame," he shouted, launching a disc of fire. Seeing this, Naruto stood in place as he pulled his head back. Before the attack reached him, Naruto released a primal roar that was so ferocious that it seemed to shake the room. To everyone's surprise, the force of the roar was enough to put out the flames before they reached him. It was as if that roar was infused with this strange Yuki, Yura thought. "Sorry, Yura-chan. I know you like to fight, but I'm going to take over now," Naruto said before he made his move. Ignoring Kuyu's shocked expression, Naruto ran towards him and kneed him in the stomach. As Kuyu hunched over in pain, Naruto delivered an uppercut. He quickly grabbed Kuyu's face and slammed the back of his head into the ground hard enough to make the floor crack. Hoping to gain some distance, Kuyu created a wave of fire around him that pushed Naruto back. It wasn't much, but it was enough for Kuyu to escape his clutch and back away. Spitting some blood out of his mouth, he glared at Naruto, only to be on the receiving end of a heel kick. "What's happening?" Kuyu thought as he felt a kick connect with his arm. Where did this strength come from? He thought, getting slammed into another wall. "Why can't I hit him?" he asked himself, firing another fireball only for Naruto to jump in the air to avoid it, and then hit his shoulder with a spinning heel kick. "Why can't I keep up anymore?" he asked himself as he punched Naruto, who sidestepped out of his way and fired 3 punches with enough force to break some of his ribs. "How can he reduce me to such a state?" he thought, coughing up some blood. "Why can't I beat you?" he roared as he released a large stream of fire, but to his dismay the cloak around Naruto seemed to be guarding him against the flames. "I think the answer was obvious," Naruto said with a smirk as he cocked his fist back before it connected with Kuyu's nose, making a crunching sound. Clutching what was most likely a broken nose, Kuyu glared hatefully at Naruto, who seemed unfazed by it. The others just watched in disbelief as their friend manhandled the PSC leader. "The reason you can't beat me is because I'm stronger," he answered with a shrug. Hearing this, Kuyu fumed. "How can you say that? You barely defeated Masato. You only have one tail. How can you say that you're stronger than me?" he shouted in outrage, causing Naruto to sigh. "I keep telling everyone that the only reason that lizard guy was so hard was because I wasn't expecting his poison. It really screwed up my body, that's why it was so hard. Plus, I kinda held back a little," he said. "If he used Kurama's chakra, he would have destroyed Masato. As for you? You didn't hit me with that last attack. I let myself get hit in order to protect my friend. You may have 4 tails, but it looks like it isn't enough to stop me," Naruto explained, but his answer didn't please Kuyu. If anything, it seemed to have infuriated him. Naruto sighed when he saw Kuyu charge at him in pure rage, leaving him wide open. Naruto clenched his fist and then opened it as blue and white flames surrounded his claw-like hands. The red cloak around him seemed to have combined with the flames, making it look more purple. "Kitsune by hunting claw explosion," he said as he slashed Kuyu across the chest, creating an explosion of flames on impact. Once the flames cleared, Naruto walked towards the fallen Kuyu, who seemed to be fighting a losing battle for consciousness. "How are you so strong?" he struggled to say. Naruto thought of the best way to answer that before he grew a mischievous smirk. He knelt down and spoke so low that only Kuyu could hear. "I may have only one tail, but let me tell you a little secret. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, apprentice of the Kyuubi no Yuko," he said, shocking Kuyu to the core. Kuyu couldn't believe it. Uzumaki was the apprentice of the Kyuubi, a being considered a god amongst their kind. This newfound knowledge and the stress from the battle caused Kuyu to black out as his eyes rolled to the back of his head. Seeing him down, Naruto stood up straight as the red cloak around him disappeared. He turned to his friends and laughed at their expression. Everyone was looking at him with their eyes so wide it looked like they would pop out any moment now, and their mouths agape, except for Yura, but the only thing showing her surprised was that her eyes were a bit wider than usual. "So, anyone up for some dinner?" Naruto asked casually, causing them to face fault, causing him to laugh, but he gulped nervously when he saw Yura looking at him with a glint in her eye. A glint that said, "You and I have some serious talking to do." He knew he would have to tell them eventually, but that didn't mean he wasn't nervous. Oh well, he figured this was like taking a band-aid off. The quicker he did it, the better. And with that, he walked towards his friends, preparing to answer the questions he knew they would ask. Chapter 11: Naruto Uzumaki, the new alpha. "Hey, did you hear?" "What?" "There's a rumor going around that Kuyu was beaten." "What?" "No way." "No, it's true. I heard about it too. Some of the students who were arrested by the Public Safety Commission were able to escape after he was defeated. But who could be strong enough to take down a monster like Kuyu? I heard that it was that Naruto guy." "What? Uzumaki? No way." "No, it's true. Plus, didn't you hear how he kicked Kuyu in between the legs in plain sight?" "Oh yeah, but still, I can't believe it." "Well, I can. I heard he's been able to take down anyone who challenges him without breaking a sweat. Apparently he fought Kuyu for trying to hurt his friends. Not only is he strong, but he's loyal too. Not to mention cute. Did you see those whisker marks on his cheeks? What about those eyes of his? They're so intense that just glancing at them sends a shiver down my spine." There were more comments like these, but they were ignored as Naruto Uzumaki walked through the hallway. He paid no attention to the gossip about him, or the looks people sent him. He also did his best to ignore the lust-induced stares of the female students, but even he couldn't stop the shiver that went down his spine. Maybe the real reason Sasuke left the village was to escape his fangirls. He thought as he saw a couple of female students lick their lips as they practically undressed him with their eyes. Otago cure. Sasuke Uchiha was practicing some katas with his sword when he paused. He frowned thoughtfully, trying to figure out this strange feeling he had. I don't know why, But I feel as if someone out there understands a bit of my suffering," the Avenger said to himself. He was about to do his exercises again when he heard a frightening voice. "Oh, Sasuke-kun! Where are you?" he heard a feminine voice shout. "Ah no! That's Karen! I'd better get out of here," Sasuke said, his usual stoic face replaced with an expression of panic. With that, the Uchiha ran away, hiding in hopes of avoiding one of the most persistent female admirers he ever had. Yokai Academy. Walking by his side, Yura was silent as she thought about what happened lately. After defeating Kuyu, everyone entered the newspaper club room to relax and celebrate. But it was during this time when they began to ask questions, and Naruto answered a few, revealing some interesting things about his past. Flashback. Naruto was sitting down watching what was happening with a smile. A worried Omote was fussing over Tsukun, who was trying to calm her down with a sheepish expression, but Naruto was able to see the light blush from the attention he was receiving. He laughed when Kurumu tried to take Tsukun away from Omote, only to get hit in the head with a bucket conjured up from Yukari. Using this as a distraction, Jin tried to steal Omote away from Tsukun, but another bucket appeared out of thin air and nailed the werewolf in the head. "So are you going to explain what happened earlier?" he heard from his side. Turning his head, he watched as Yura took a seat by his side before looking at him expectantly. Blinking in confusion, Naruto shrugged before explaining. "Nothing much to tell, really. I fought with Kuyu, took a hit that was meant for you, you fought him for a bit while I was down, I got back up and took over, then I kicked his ass. Nothing much to explain, especially since you were there," he said as if she should know. "You know what I meant," Yura said in annoyance. The others noticed them talking and settled down, also having some question. "Nisan, I didn't know you were a Yuko," Yukari said while Jin and Kurumu nodded. The others had a different thought though. "Why did you lie to us, Naruto?" Omote asked in a hurt tone. She was very sad that one of her first friends had lied to her for so long. Hearing this, Naruto sighed, realizing he had to reveal some things. "I wasn't lying, Omote-chan, I was really human," he said, shocking the others who didn't know this. "You're human? Bullshit. We saw you transform," Jin shouted. "If you were listening, Aromat, you would have heard me say was human, as in I was born a full-blooded human, but that just isn't the case anymore," Naruto explained. "And what is that supposed to mean?" Kurumu asked. The others watched him curiously, wondering what he was talking about. "What it means is that I was born human, but about 2 years ago something happened that turned me into a Hanyu, a human/yokai hybrid," he explained casually. They blinked a few times as his words sunk in, and when they did, their eyes widened in shock. "You're a Hanyo?" Everyone but Yura shouted, although she looked just as surprised as they did. "So that's what you meant when you said you were technically human?" Yura said as she recalled his words the first day they met. "Yup. I'm technically human. Only half though," Naruto said with a shrug. "Why didn't you tell us?" Omote asked. "I don't know. Slipped my mind, I guess," Naruto said carelessly, causing them to face fault. "So now you know the truth. Tsukun is a human and I'm half human. What do you guys think?" Everyone was silent for a bit, but it was Yura who spoke first. Scoffing a bit, she crossed her arms over her chest. "What do you mean, what do we think? Nothing has changed. You're still the same blonde-haired idiot we've come to know," she said as if the answer was obvious. "Ah, love you to Yura-chan," Naruto said with a cheeky wink and grin. "It doesn't matter to me. Naruto and Tsukun are still my friends," Omote said with a bright smile. "Naruto and I and Tsukun-kun have always been kind to me. I don't care if you're human," Yukari declared. Naruto never judged her for being a witch, so why should she judge him for being a Hanyu? "It doesn't matter. Tsukun-kun is still my destined one," Kurumu shouted as she pulled the human's face into her breast. "Kurumu-chan, what are you doing?" Omote shouted as she tried to pry the blushing human out of the succubus bosom. "Well, you were able to come up with that brilliant transformation technique. You're all right in my book," Jin said with a perverted grin as he recalled Naruto's sexy technique. Hearing this caused the girls, except Yukari who wasn't there to see it, blushed as they remembered the mentioned technique. Shaking her head, Kurumu pumped her fist into the air with a large smile. Okay. Enough of this serious stuff. We just took down Kuyu. Actually, it was mostly Naruto and I and Yura-san who fought him. Yukari interrupted, but either she wasn't heard of. Kurumu decided to ignore her. So let's celebrate, she said cheerfully. Naruto shook his head with a smile as he watched his friends talk amongst themselves cheerfully. For some reason I have a feeling that you haven't told us everything, Yura said as she looked at the blonde carefully. Naruto shrugged his shoulders before looking at his silver-haired friend. True, I left out some details, but let's just leave it alone for now. I wouldn't want to ruin their happy mood, he said, gesturing to the rest of the group. He noticed Yura staring at him and sighed. Okay, how about this? Me turning into a Hanyu involves the Kyubi no Yuko. Hell, I've even learned a thing or two from the furball, he offered, shocking the vampire. She heard tales of the Kyubi no Yuko, who was considered a god amongst yokai. How did Naruto get involved with such a being? More importantly, how did he get away with calling it a furball? Yura continued to stare at him for a bit before nodding. Very well. I suppose you have answered enough, for now, she said as the two fell into a comfortable silence as they watched the chaos in front of them unfold. End of flashback. While she was a little disappointed that she didn't find out much, she was satisfied for now. After all, she couldn't expect someone to reveal their past all at once, especially if it was a painful. Definitely had some things that she rather forget about altogether rather than relive. So for now, Yura would respect Naruto's privacy about the subject and wait until he was ready to go into more details. After all, he would respect my privacy if I didn't want to talk about such a subject, she thought. Her musings were interrupted by the sound of giggling girls. She looked around and noticed that many, if not all, the girls in the hall were staring at Naruto with lust-filled eyes and would break into a giggling fit if said blonde even glanced at them. For some unknown reason this bothered her, as she unintentionally growled, releasing a little killer intent. Sensing this, the girls turned to the source and gulped nervously when they saw the dark look in Yura's eyes, although a few of the braver girls glared back. Naruto looked at Yura curiously when he noticed her change in attitude, and wondered why she was releasing a small dose of killer intent. But thanks to his past experience with angry girls, he decided not to mention it in order to avoid her wrath. Come on, Yura-chan. Let's go before we're late for class, Naruto said as he began to pick up his pace. Yura looked at him and spared the girls one more glare before catching up with the blonde. While the girls were grumbling something about a silver-haired bitch, a tall, bulky student was leaning against the wall with a large dumbbell in his hand. He watched the retreating blonde with narrowed eyes. So he's the one that everyone's calling the strongest, huh? He asked to himself before walking away. Later the day. As Naruto was leaving his class, he spotted Jin and decided to have a conversation with the older boy as they walked through the hall. So how does it feel knowing you won't have to deal with Kuyu anymore? Naruto asked with his hands clasped together behind his head. It feels pretty good knowing that a repeat of last year won't be happening again. And I have you to thank for that, so what do you say? Want to rejoin the newspaper club? Jin asked, hoping there was no hard feeling between the two of them from his past action. Naruto rubbed his chin in thought before nodding with a grin. Sure, why not? Plus, Yura-chan would kill me if I left her alone with a pervert like you, he said, causing Jin to fall to his knees as a rain cloud appeared over his head. Damn it! I could have had Yura-san all to myself. Why did I have to be a nice guy and ask you to join again? He wailed as the rain from the cloud picked up. Seeing this caused Naruto to sweat drop. If it makes you feel any better, you never had a shot with her anyway, he offered, only for lightning to flash from the cloud. Naruto laughed at the werewolf stated before his senses went off. Turning around, he reached into his blazer and pulled out a kunai and held it towards someone's stomach. Any reason you're sneaking up on me? Naruto asked casually. The student laughed a bit before answering. And here I thought you left your back open. It looks like you have some sense, the person said. Naruto looked at him, wondering who the hell this guy was. He was also wondering why he was holding a pair of dumbbells. Do I know you? He finally asked. Don't worry about him, Naruto. He's just your typical muscle-bound idiot, Jin, who recovered from his earlier depression, said. Watch your mouth, Jin, the muscle-bound idiot said before turning towards Naruto. The name's Chopper Rikishi of the Pro Wrestling Club, he said with smirk as he began to study Naruto with a calculating look. So you're the legendary Naruto Uzumaki, huh? Well, you don't look like a spineless pipsqueak, but you still don't look like much, he said thoughtfully, causing a tick mark to form on Naruto's head. And what the hell is that supposed to mean? He asked, annoyance, but he was ignored. So were you really the one who beat Kuyu? Chopper asked. Yes, so? Naruto asked, wondering why this guy cared. His answer seemed to have annoyed Chopper. What do you mean, yes, so? I've been aiming at the guy for a while now, and here I find out that some random student comes out of nowhere and beats my rival, Chopper shouted. Rival? Did Kuyu even know you? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. No, Jin answered, but Chopper paid no attention to it. Who the hell do you think you are, defeating my opponent? He shouted in outrage. It's not like I antagonized him or anything, Naruto defended. Actually you kind of did when you kicked him in the family jewels, Jin pointed out, but Naruto waved his hand dismissively. That was all self-defense, he said. Self-defense? Technically you threw the first punch at him, Jin shot back. Geez, what's up with you? 1 minute you're happy I kicked Kuyu's ass and the next you're defending him, Naruto said, irritated. Nothing, I just like making you look like an idiot, although you do a pretty good job of that by yourself, Jin said with a snicker. Hey! I kicked your ass once, I have no problem doing it again, Naruto shouted with a tick mark on his head. Stop ignoring me! Chopper yelled out, causing them to turn to him. You're still here? Naruto and Jin asked in unison. Chopper's face started to turn red from anger as he glared at them. I'll let you go now, but here's a waning Uzumaki. Soon I'm coming for you and I will bring you down. I will prove that the title of the strongest student at Yokai Academy belongs to me, Chopper declared before leaving the two of them. What the hell was that about? A bewildered Naruto asked. Don't worry about him. He's a little obsessive with strength. Once he hears about someone who could be stronger than him, he goes a little crazy. Be on the lookout, you never know when he could strike next, Jin said casually. Gee, what wonderful news, Naruto said sarcastically as the two of them continued on their way. Hopefully things won't get out of hand. After last class. Are you okay, Naruto? You look a little tense, Tsuken said to his blonde-haired friend. Am I okay? Hell no, I'm okay, Naruto shouted as he pulled his hair in frustration. What's wrong? A worried Omote asked as she and Yura approached the two boys. Today has just been terrible, Naruto said as anime tears fell from his eyes. Who did you piss off? Yura asked with a raised brow. Hearing this, Naruto straightened up and pointed a finger at her. I didn't piss anyone off. It's everyone else that's pissing me off, he shot back. Why did Yura think it was his fault? He never openly provokes others to the point that they want to see his blood, right? Really? Yura asked, looking genuinely surprised, causing Naruto to face fault. So what happened to you? Tsuken asked. First of all, almost every female in this school, student or teacher, has been undressing me with their eyes, Naruto said as he hugged himself, his body shivering as he recalled the looks that he had received today. Hearing this caused Yura's eyes to narrow and a low growl escaped her throat. She blinked in surprise when she realized what she was doing and hoped no one noticed. Unfortunately, Omote did and gave her sister a questioning look. Yura blushed slightly and looked away from her sister's look as the blonde continued. Second of all, I have myself a stalker, Naruto cried, surprising them. A stalker? They repeated. And worst of all, the stalker isn't even a hot girl. Instead, it's some muscle-bound freak. Why won't he leave me alone? Naruto continued in despair. Can you please explain to us what has happened? Yura asked as she rubbed head, the others nodding in agreement. Naruto took a deep breath as he prepared to relive the hell he has faced today. Flashback: Naruto's day after meeting Chopper. Gym class. Naruto was currently in his class playing soccer. As he ran across the field with the ball, his senses went off. Quickly shifting his body around, he nearly dodged a dumbbell that was aimed at him. "So you dodged again," a voice he recognized said. He turned to see the large figure of Chopper looking at him with a smirk. "What the hell are you doing? You're not even in this class," Naruto shouted. "That doesn't matter. I'm here for my fight," Chopper declared as he ran towards the annoyed blonde. "Piss off," Naruto shouted as he kicked the soccer ball as hard as he could. The ball nailed Chopper hard enough in the face to cause the pro wrestling member to fall. The ball bounced off his face and flew past the goalie. "Goal!" of the students shouted as Naruto walked away. "English class? Oh man, that was so boring," Naruto groaned as he left his class. "Who the hell is this Shakespeare anyway?" he asked himself as a shadow loomed over him. "To fight or not to fight, that is the question," the loud voice of Chopper said from behind. Naruto moved his head to avoid a punch before grabbing the offending arm and threw him over his shoulder out of the window. "Leave me alone, damn it!" Naruto yelled in annoyance. "Did you see that?" a girl asked. "Kia! He's so strong!" another one squealed. "Naruto-kun, please wrap your big strong arms around me," another shouted as a group of girls began to surround him. "What the? No, wait! Stay back!" he shouted as he tried to escape their grasp. After some struggling, he was able to break free and ran away as fast as he could. "Naruto-kin, wait!" the girls cried out, chasing the blonde. Study hall. "I hate math so much," Naruto muttered as he read through his notes. He was currently sitting at one of the library tables. Thankfully, the librarian was strict, so none of his new fanfros came over to speak to him lest they feel her wrath. How the hell can anyone make sense of this gibberish? It's just a bunch of random letters and numbers. Who cares about this crap? The only math equation you need to know is my fist plus your face equals pain, a voice said. Naruto quickly leaned back in his chair in time to avoid a right hook aimed at his face. He quickly flipped the table over and kicked it at Chopper, who punched it to pieces. Naruto used the table as a distraction. He quickly made a clone and went to action. The original did a sweep kick at Chopper's legs, causing him to fall back, while a clone pushed one of the bookcases so it fell on top of Chopper. "And stay down!" Naruto shouted. He turned around only to be greeted with the annoyed face of the librarian. She brought a finger to her lip as she looked sternly at the blonde. "Shh!" she said, causing Naruto to chuckle nervously. "Sorry about that," he apologized as he scratched the back of his head sheepishly. End of flashback. "Why do bad things always happen to me?" Naruto asked after telling the others about his day. The others could only sweat drop at his overdramatic reaction. "I think you might be overreacting," Yura deadpanned. "You think I'm overreacting? Do you know what it's like to be constantly pestered into some sort of test of strength by someone so annoying?" Naruto asked. Kanehigakure. Kakashi Hatake was walking through the streets of Konoha reading his favorite Aika Aika. He was about to turn the page when he paused. I don't know why, but I feel that someone out there understands my pain," the copy mused to himself. He shrugged it off and was about to continue on his way when a loud voice stopped him. "Kakashi, my eternal rival. It is so great to see you on this most youthful of days," Guy said as the green-clad Jonin approached Kakashi. "Anyway, I came here to challenge you to another contest that will surely test our flames of youth. Are you prepared to compete in a game of extreme hopscotch?" the taijutsu expert asked as he did his signature nice guy pose. Kakashi lazily turned the page of his book before sparing Guy a bored look. "Did you say something?" he asked with a nice smile. "Curse your hip and cool attitude, Kakashi," Guy shouted as a waterfall of tears fell from his eyes while he fell to his knees. Kakashi just walked away acting like he never met the man before. Yokai Academy. After separating from his friends, Naruto went to the roof where he could hopefully get some peace. He closed his eyes as he got into a meditative stance. Mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes and found himself inside a familiar sewer. He stared into the giant cage until a single crimson eye appeared from the darkness. "What can I do for you, Kit?" Kurama asked as the darkness from the cage vanished, revealing the large form of the demon fox. Nothing much, though I come by and see how you were doing? Naruto said with a shrug. Would you look at that? The kid really does care, Kurama said as he wiped a fake tear away. Whatever. The blonde muttered with an eye roll. Well, teasing aside, I got to say, kid, congratulations, the fox said, drawing a confused look from the blonde. On what? He asked, causing the fox to blink. What do you mean, on what? Didn't you notice? Kurama asked. Notice what? Naruto asked as he tilted his head in confusion. Hearing this caused the giant fox to sigh. I should have known. Do me a favor and transform. Why should I? It's not our usual training time. Just do it, the fox said in annoyance. Yeesh, no need to get all testy with me, Naruto said as he transformed into his Hanyu form. Okay, now what? Turn around and tell me what you see. Naruto did as he was told, but he still didn't understand. The only thing behind him were his tails. Big deal. Wait a minute. Tails? As in plural? What the hell? He asked aloud, noticing he had a second tail. So you noticed, huh? Looks like nothing gets past you. Kurama snickered. Why the hell do I have another tail? Naruto asked, ignoring the fox. It looks like that fight with Kuyu was enough to get you to the next level, Kurama guessed. Cool. Another tail means I'm stronger, right? Naruto asked with childlike excitement, causing Kurama to sweat drop. That's how it works. Usually takes years to earn another tail, yet you do it after 2 years of your transformation. I guess doing the impossible really is your specialty, Kurama said with a grin, revealing a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth. So what's next? Naruto asked curiously. Now that you have another tail, we get to up your training. Hope you're ready for the next training session, because now the fun begins, Kurama said with a feral grin as he imagined the tort training that he and Naruto were going to do. Better get out of here. Someone's in front of you, he added before he and the sewers faded away. Real world. Naruto opened his eyes and blue eyes met red. Blinking a bit, he looked back to see Yura sitting in front of him, looking at him curiously. The two stared at each other in silence before Naruto spoke. Sup? He asked, breaking the silence. I never would have figured you as the meditating type, she said. Really? You always complain about doing nothing in class. I would think that you were not able to stay still long enough to meditate, Yura answered with a shrug. What can I say? I never learn anything useful in class. At least meditating relaxes me, he answered carelessly. Yura couldn't really deny that. She too felt that sometimes the school wasted their time teaching them things they would never need. Anyway, forget about that. Check this out, Naruto said with a grin. Now that his friends knew he was a Hanyu, he had no reason to hide his true form to them, and he was pretty excited about this. He was surrounded by a red light that forced Yura to close her eyes since she was so close to the source. Once she opened her eyes, she was greeted with the sight of Naruto in his Hanyu form. There was one difference from the last time she saw this form. You have an extra tail, she pointed out as she pointed at the mentioned appendage. I know. It looks like that fight with Kuyu was able to help me reach the next level, he explained as his tails waved around behind him. The last Yura saw his Hanyu form, she was too engrossed in battle to truly notice. But now that she was able to study the changes, she found herself drawn to the fox ears on his head for some reason. Without even thinking, she reached up towards one of the ears and scratched it. She didn't know why she did it, but she felt compelled to do it. The moment she began to scratch, the effect was instantaneous. His tails swished around in delight as his eyelids drooped. He tried to fight it, but it was a losing battle. Unable to hold it in anymore, a low rumbling sound escaped his throat, causing them to freeze. Did you just purr? Yura asked with a fanged grin, her red eyes filled with mischief. Of course I didn't. That was a growl. Yeah, that's it, a low growl. Like a warning, a blushing Naruto said. Does Naruto like having his ears scratched? She asked as she resumed her scratching, causing Naruto to purr despite his protest. I never would have expected this. It's kind of cute. Yura commented, but her eyes widened as she realized what she said. She just hoped Naruto didn't pick up on it. But unfortunately for her, it was Naruto she was talking about, so of course he heard it. At least that's what his impish grin told her. Did you just say it's cute? I think that's the girliest thing you've ever said. He laughed as she blushed lightly while glaring at him. And what's so funny about that? I am a girl, in case you haven't noticed. She shouted. Oh, I know you're a girl. A very beautiful one, by the way. He said with a wink, causing her to roll her eyes. But still, that was something I expected from Omo-chan, not you. The only way this could get better is if you tackle me with a flying glomp like she would. I can promise you that isn't happening anytime soon. She deadpanned. Anytime soon, huh? Don't worry, I can wait. He reassured with a smile. Yura just shook her head and sighed. Sometimes she really questioned her friendship with the blonde. Another flash of light, and Naruto was back to his human form. The two sat together in a comfortable silence before they heard the door opening. What's this? Here I am looking for you to fight, and I find you being all romantic with you, girl? The voice of Chopper said, causing them to blush. I'm not his girl / she's not my girl. The two of them shouted in unison with red faces. Inside Naruto's mind, Kurama smirked. Yet, he said, causing Naruto to blush harder. Whatever. Are you ready to fight? The pro wrestler asked, causing Naruto to sigh in irritation. For the love of, why can't you just leave me alone? He asked in exasperation. Why don't you just defeat him already? Yura asked, crossing her arms under her chest. I just want to be left alone, but this guy doesn't seem to get that. Naruto answered. True, he liked a good fight every now and again, but seriously. What was this guy's problem? Perhaps. But sometimes in the yokai world they listen to power instead of words. Yura said. Naruto thought about what she said and nodded his head. It made sense. Fine, if it means I'll finally have some peace, then I'll kick this guy's ass. He said. I guess I will be today's audience since you are his target. Yura said as she walked towards the side. Lucky. Naruto muttered before glaring at Chopper. Alright, you wanted a fight? Well, you got one. Hearing this, Chopper smirked as he began transform. Naruto watched uninterestingly as Chopper grew twice his normal size. Once he was done, Naruto stared at him blankly before turning to Yura, who was leaning against the railing. What the hell is he supposed to be? He asked as he pointed at his opponent. I believe he is a troll, a yokai that is almost all brute and no brains. Yura answered. I hope you're ready, Uzumaki. I'll finally show this school who the strongest really is. Chopper shouted as he raised his arm before bringing it down, intent on crushing the blonde. Once his fist hit, it created a large explosion of dust as the ground beneath it cracked. Ha! How pathetic, and they had the nerve to call you the strongest. Chopper laughed. He honestly believes he was able to defeat Naruto that easily. How foolish. Yura commented with a smirk. You missed. A voice drawled as the dust cleared. Chopper looked and saw a bored Naruto standing next to his arm. So that it? He asked. Seeing the way Naruto was treating him caused Chopper's face to contort in rage. Take me seriously! He roared as he swung his arm at Naruto. He laughed when he saw the blonde no longer standing in his original spot. That's what you get, he said with a grin. Do you ever stop talking? He heard from the side. Turning his head, he was surprised to see Naruto sitting on his arm, Indian style. Alright then, the sooner I finish this, the sooner I can put this behind me, he said as he jumped off the arm and delivered a roundhouse kick to Chopper's jaw, followed by 3 punches to his ribcage. Chopper stumbled back as he massaged his sore jaw. Huh. You're still standing, Naruto stated, looking a little impressed. Guess you're tougher than I thought. Why don't you use of your fancier moves and be done with him already? Yura asked. I thought about it, but I figured it'd be best to beat this guy with strength alone since he's so obsessed with it, Naruto said, causing Yura to nod. It made some sense even if she wanted this to be over with. Don't talk like you've already won, Chopper as he aimed a punch with his massive fist. Naruto jumped out of the way and over the troll. When he landed, he kicked the back of leg, causing the troll to lose balance before receiving a kick to the kidney. Getting back up, he was on the receiving end of a knee to the face and a punch to the stomach, but Naruto wasn't done there. A right hook to the jaw caused a few teeth to be sent flying. An elbow to the top of the head, causing his face to crash into a knee. Naruto jumped up to avoid another wild swing before hitting a heel kick against his shoulder. A right uppercut followed by a left palm thrust. He followed with 3 rapid-fire punches to his midsection and one final kick to the back of the skull before the troll lost consciousness. Naruto looked at his fallen opponent and sighed. Maybe I should have done this from the beginning. Oh well, at least he'll leave me alone, Naruto said. Feeling better? Yura asked as she walked towards the blonde. Yeah, I was able to vent out some frustration from today, Naruto answered as the two began to leave the roof. So, should I tell the others about how much you like having your ears scratched? Yura asked with a smirk. After all the times Naruto teased her, it was nice to get some payback. Her smirk grew when she saw him blush. I don't suppose there's a way to keep that between us, is there? He asked nervously. It was bad enough Yura knew about it, but if someone like Kurumu found out too, he'd never hear the end of it. Not to mention Omo would constantly give him pleading eyes just so she could scratch his ears. Yura tapped her chin with a finger as she thought about it. I suppose I could keep this a secret, she said, but Naruto knew there was a but coming. But it will cost you, she finished. Ah, there it is. What do you want? He asked, defeated. Some blood, Yura said, and without warning she jumped in front of him and sunk her fangs into his neck, moaning in pleasure when the luscious blood touched her taste buds. I should have known, he muttered, but he smiled nonetheless. Next day. Morning, everyone, Naruto greeted with a bright smile. You seem to be in a better mood, Naruto, Omote said, noticing his happy demeanor. I may not have been able to get rid of my fangirl problem, but at least I took care of my stalker, Naruto said. Really? That's good, Sukun said, remembering how bothered Naruto was about it. Some girl was stalking you, Naruto and I? Yukari asked. I wish. But it was just my luck to get stalked by some meathead, Naruto said, depressed. You make it sound like you want to be stalked, Yura commented. I don't want it. All I'm saying is that if it's going to happen, it might as well be a hot girl, Naruto said as if it were obvious. I know I've said it before, but I have to say it again. Idiot, Yura said as she massaged her temple. Anyway, who cares? It's over, so let's forget about it, Naruto suggested. Uzumaki, a voice that made Naruto pale, called out. Turning his head in an almost mechanical fashion, Naruto was greeted with the sight of a grinning Chopper. You! What are you doing here? Naruto asked in a panicked tone. He already kicked this guy's ass, what more did he have to do? I just wanted to say what a great match that was. To think there was a student here who can fight me on even grounds, he said. You call getting beat senseless even grounds? Naruto and Yura thought with a sweat drop. I just came over here to tell you that you better expect a rematch, he continued while Naruto shot Yura a look. You said yokai respond to strength, he said. They do, it just looks like he's responding in the opposite way you wanted, Yura said with a sheepish expression. My bad. That's all you can say, Naruto shouted. I'll let you rest up for today, but expect another meeting with me. As of this day forwards, you and I are eternal rivals, Chopper declared before heading off on his way. The others watched him leave in confusion before turning to a frozen Naruto who turned ghostly pale at his words. Naruto? Yura said as she poked his head. No response. Nisan? Yukari tried as she nudged him a little. No response. Is he okay? Omote asked, worried. I don't know, Sukun said. The eternal are rivals, Naruto muttered before he fell to his knees. The others watched him, wondering what was wrong with him. Konoha. Kakashi was walking around minding his own business when he felt something strange. It was the same feeling he had yesterday. It feels like someone understands my suffering better, again, Kakashi said, confused. What was with this strange feeling? Shrugging it off, he was about to continue on his way when... Why do bad things keep happening to me? He heard a distant voice shout, a very distant voice. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that was Naruto, Kakashi said before chuckling. That was ridiculous. Naruto was off at his school. Kakashi, my eternal rival. Are you prepared today's challenge? Let us fan out our flames of youth with a jump rope competition. He heard the loud voice of Guy. Damn it. I better get out of here, Kakashi said as he ran off. Where are you going, Kakashi? You're going the wrong way. I am over here,